It's Monday morning. "18-year-old Bill Brantner opens his eyes to what he assumes will be another ordinary school day.
The dreaded moment for a high school senior. Monday morning, 6 o'clock, time to go to school, rolls out of bed.
Hey, little dudes. Come on, it's time to get up. Come on.
You're the oldest brother, and your younger brothers depend on you. It was important to him to make sure that his younger brothers were taken care of.
As his younger brothers wake up, Bill hunts for something to wear.
Hey, Mom, have you seen my red sweater? Hey, Mom!
And he's not getting an answer from her, and this is beginning to get under his skin. And so,
Mom!
off on the quest to find his mom.
Mom?
So Bill goes into his parents' bedroom looking for his mother, doesn't see her,
Mom?
but he hears the shower running,
Mom?
sees the steam coming out and thinking, okay, my mom's in there taking a shower.
Assuming his mother simply can't hear him, Bill pokes his head into the bathroom.
And then he found something that he would never want to find.
Oh my God.
He sees his mom and thinks maybe she's knocked herself unconscious, and then realizes that she's not moving at all.
Across town, Lt.Joe Kenda is busy going about his own morning routine.
Hey, Kath, have you seen my yellow tie?
Oh, I had to throw it away. It was covered in blood.
You wind up with blood in your clothes. You wind up with all kinds of things in your clothes. So you wear cheap suits in this line of work because you wind up throwing them in dumpsters all the time.
Then, just as Kenda is about to take his first bite of pancakes, he receives an all too familiar call.
It's Kenda.
I know who it is. I answered the phone. I said, okay, I'll be right there.
Call me when I get a chance.
Half an hour later, Kenda arrives at a house on a cul-de-sac in northeast Colorado Springs.
This time of day, you have families getting kids out to school, families leaving to work. So they're kind of astonished to see law enforcement hanging out in their neighborhood.
I don't think anybody's at fault.
Hey, Lieutenant. Brian? So what do you got this early in the morning?
42-year-old Cheryl Brantner. She was found in the bathtub by her 3 young children.
She was a maternity nurse at Penrose Hospital. I mean, here was this lovely little family, and now the mom is gone.
Where's the husband?
He had already left for work. He still hasn't been told yet.
So we're thinking this is an accident, a slip and fall?
I don't think so. As far as we can tell so far, yeah.
Let's take a look.
Patrol responded to this call, and they called for us because they're not sure what happened here.
The first thing Kenda and his men notice is the location of the body.
A bathroom is usually the most dangerous room in your house. There's all kinds of things in there that can hurt you and might even kill you. But the primary thing that goes wrong is you fall in the tub.
A faint stain of blood is also present around the rim.
Mind if we take a closer look? She's obviously bleeding from somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't see anything on this side.
There are no other apparent wounds or injuries on her back. It's difficult to see it from her position, but she has a head injury of some type.
Let's turn her over. See the cut over her right eye?
Yeah.
We're probably looking at an accident. She obstructs the drain with her body. The water fills up and she drowns.
I don't see any signs of a struggle. No.
It will be up to the coroner to confirm the cause of death. In the meantime, detectives search the bedroom for signs of foul play.
We still don't know enough about this to know whether this is an accidental bathroom death, or did she get assaulted by somebody, by an intruder, by her husband, by her son?
Blood spattered on the walls, nor around the bed.
Yeah, look at the bed. What do you make of that?
All the blankets, all the sheets, and pillowcases and everything are stripped from it. Nobody does their laundry at 5:30 in the morning. People just get out of bed. So why is it that all the bed linens have been removed?
Well, it can help us look for more blood.
So we have CSI do a visual inspection of the bed. There's no blood on the bed. There's no blood above the bed. There's no marks anywhere.
Anything? I got nothing. Where they holding Cheryl's sons?
They're out with Officer Duffy in the kitchen. Good luck.
Thanks.
18-year-old Bill Brantner sits at the table with his brothers, Scott and Mike.
It's extremely difficult to discuss a violent death with children, particularly when it's their mother that's the victim.
Guys, I'm real sorry about this. I know how tough this must be. I just want you to know that I'm here to help.
I just can't believe this is happening.
Two of these boys are real young, and the reality of the circumstances has overwhelmed them. They don't know what to say, what to do, how to feel, how to react.
Can you tell me what happened?
Well, I had just gotten up and went in to speak with my mom, and that's when I found her.
Yeah, where was your father?
At work. He always leaves long before then.
The boys say that their dad, Bob Brantner, is a vocational arts teacher at a local high school. He likes to go to work early.
Did anybody notice anything unusual before then? Like overnight?
And the little one nods his head affirmatively. The older boy, Bill, notices that little one did that and thinks about that for a second.
There appears to be some subliminal communication going on between them.
Come on, guys, you can tell me. Did you see anything?
Well, I don't remember exactly what time it was, but I guess it was about an hour before my alarm went off, and we did all hear her scream.
Screaming.
Screaming before dawn? There's a reason for that. People who accidentally fall and then drown in running water don't scream first. Who respond to a report of an accidental drowning in a bathtub of a 42-year-old Cheryl Brantner. We've now discovered through her eldest son that she was screaming an hour before he discovered her at 6 a.m. in the bathtub.
We stirred a little, but Scott was the one that went to check on her.
Well, when I got to my parents' store, it stopped. So I thought she was fine, and I went back to bed.
So I asked these boys, why would you think she was okay just because she stopped screaming? And they all explain that their mother suffers from terrible nightmares. There are something called night terrors that are worse than nightmares, where people actually become physically distraught.
Help! No! Help!
Shh. It's okay. Shh.
The boy's explanation seems perfectly logical, but Kenda has another important question.
Were your parents fighting this morning?
Mom and Dad?
I don't think I've ever seen him argue.
Can you think of anyone at all that might want to harm your mother or even your father?
They know the people in the neighborhood. Nobody that they knew of had any ill will against them.
Well, again, I'm very sorry about this. If you can just stay here with the officers, I'll make sure you get your father back as soon as possible.
And we are now left with the unenviable task of informing him that his wife is no longer alive.
It's only 9 a.m. when Kenda and Ritz arrive at the high school where Bob teaches. Administrator Mary Ann Welch escorts Kenda and Ritz to the wood shop on the first floor.
All right, we're gonna split this in two.
Excuse me, Bob. There's someone outside that needs to talk with you.
I'm in the middle of class. What's this about?
I don't know, but it's urgent. Don't worry. I'll take over.
Okay. Take notes on this radio, okay? I'll be back.
I've done this too many times, but a sharp knife cuts clean.
I'm sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Brentner, but your wife...
Distressed, of course, and we invite him to go to the teacher's lounge, which happens to be close by.
Just then, Kenda gets a page from the coroner's office.
I tell Ritz to go find a phone and call them and find out what the deal is.
It is. Lieutenant, I think I can borrow you for a minute?
Excuse me for a second.
You're not gonna like this.
What is it?
Coroner's report came back and said that she died of subdural hematoma.
There is a deep bruising of the brain tissue resulting in fractures to various veins and arteries resulting in goodbye.
So even if she did fall and hit her head, it probably wouldn't inflict that much damage.
And that's exactly what he's saying.
The victim had been struck repeatedly.
Now the game changes because it wasn't just falling and hitting her head on this tub. She died of multiple blows to the head. So that's not really something you do to yourself.
The coroner will rule this as a homicide and not an accidental death.
Which means Bob Brantner isn't just a grieving husband. He's also a potential suspect.
Obviously, Bob has a lot of questions to answer.
I transport Bob down to the Police Operations Center for the purpose of an interview. I'm relieved at that point from that to go back to the scene to conduct further investigation into the crime scene. Now we're looking for signs that might explain the blunt force trauma.
Meanwhile, back at the school, Kenda has a few more questions for Mary Ann Welch.
How long have you worked with Mr. Brantner?
I've known him over 10 years. I know his wife Cheryl and their 3 boys. They're all wonderful people.
She goes on to say that Bob is not only a great husband and father, but he's a Boy Scout leader. He is a dedicated public school teacher. He is Mr. Middle America.
As he leaves, Kenda asks Mary Ann to help him with one more thing.
Do you know where his car is or what kind of car it is? So she describes it to me and tells me where it's parked.
20 minutes later, Kenda's forensic officers are searching Bob's truck.
They have the means to open an unlocked vehicle without difficulty. So we're in the car.
Take a look in the glove compartment, see if there's any papers.
Yes.
It's the usual stuff we all have. Registration, proof of insurance, some receipts.
Then, something unusual catches Kenda's attention.
So I read the first 2 lines. I just have to write you and tell you how happy I am. I love you with all my heart, now and forever.
Looks like a love letter.
It is. I don't think it's from his wife.
And it's signed LDZ. You cannot contrive Cheryl out of LDZ. Now, who the hell are you?
It was at this house in the Vista Grande area where Cheryl Ann Brantner was discovered dead, face down in a bathtub. Police say it wasn't an accident, and the 3 children there, aged 11 through 18, are key witnesses.
While searching Bob's truck, I find a love letter from a female whose name isn't Cheryl, L.D.Z.
We clearly have a love triangle. We don't know where the other woman is.
We possibly have a motive for killing. Could she have done it to get Bob? Could Bob have done it to get his new girlfriend?
The forensic team continues searching Bob's truck, and it isn't long before they turn up more incriminating evidence.
Hey, Lieutenant.
What is it?
There's some bloody sheets.
Well, my, Bob. What are you doing with these in your truck?
It's now clear why the bed had been stripped so early in the morning.
Lieutenant Kenda, Detective Ritz.
Go ahead, Lieutenant.
I'm headed back to the scene, but in the meantime, can you have CSI take a closer look at Bob and Cheryl's bedroom? It appears that she was killed on the bed.
Enforcer.
Kenda makes the crosstown trip to the Brantner residence.
I'll tell you what, I'll talk to you in a bit, okay?
Waiting for him is Detective Ritz, whose team continued to process the home while Ritz himself canvassed the neighborhood.
The next quest is to find the mysterious LDZ.
Looks like we may have another suspect. I found the love letter in the vehicle, signed with the initials LDZ.
LDZ. Hang on a second. I got something for that.
This sparks interest in me because I remember talking to somebody in the neighborhood that those initials fit. I check my notes. I'm able to show that this individual is Laura D. Zurchner.
She lives 2 doors down. She wasn't home, but the next door neighbor gave me her name.
Well, looks like she is now. I'll go talk to her.
All right.
Excuse me, ma'am. Lieutenant Kenda, can I ask you a few questions?
When I talk to her, I show her a badge, and she's not real surprised, which I thought was interesting.
Am I being questioned as a suspect?
And my response is immediate. Is there a reason why I should be questioning you as a suspect? She says, no, I know. I've already heard what happened, so I figure you now know that Bob and I are an item.
I never set out to have an affair with him. It just happened that way.
Can you tell me about it?
Laura explains that unlike Bob, she's divorced, raising 2 kids by herself.
Her kids belong to the same Boy Scout troop his kids do. He's the leader of the troop. She's always admired him, but 2 years ago, it turned to be a romantic relationship.
This was a long, slow, cultivated relationship. And who knows really what her ultimate goal is? It appears that it probably was to marry Bob.
She said last time she saw Bob was that morning. Well, that's interesting. Was that before or after Cheryl was dead?
I make lunches for him every day, so he came by to pick it up.
Was he acting strangely at all?
No, he seemed normal to me.
We may have some questions for you later. Thank you.
Kenda's willing to accept half of Laura Zurchner's statement at face value.
Just from a practical standpoint, Cheryl Brantner was a large woman. Laura is a little slip of a woman. It would be very, very difficult for her to overcome Cheryl in the first place and move her unconscious. So this whole pattern says to me, Laura is not part of it. Bob is. Bob's the only part.
Excuse us for a second, sir.
A discovery in the bedroom further confirms Kenda's hunch.
As I walk closer, it's a 3-foot length of 2x4, and it's got blood on it.
It's the missing piece of the puzzle, and all he needs to finally bring this case to a close.
They didn't find it initially because it had been stuffed behind that heavy wooden headboard, out of sight.
Looks like Bob's got some explaining to do. How you doing, Bob?
Fine. Why am I being kept here?
He's sitting there being very calm, and I explain the evidence against him, and he says, listen, I can explain. Well, please do, Bob.
We had a big argument last night. I told her that I met someone else and that I finally wanted a divorce. Cheryl, we need to talk.
And how did Cheryl take that?
She was mad, of course. You're not happy, I'm not happy.
Our marriage is not working,
Our marriage is not working because you're out with
Listen,
Laura
stop.
regularly.
Stop. She said she knew about the affair with Laura and that I wouldn't have the right to anything because I was cheating.
So you snapped?
Yeah, she was making threats. She wanted to make my life difficult.
They decide to go to bed and talk about it in the morning, but in the morning, the fight continues. And Cheryl becomes so angry, she shoves Bob.
Have you thought about anybody else besides you?
So how'd she get the injury on her head if she shoved you?
I lost it. I lost it and shoved her back, and she hit her head on the headboard and started bleeding.
So he said she was disoriented, but she was alert and she was angry. She said, I'll take care of my head. Just get out of here.
So I left. And I guess because she was out of it, she slipped in the shower and drowned.
I think you forgot a few things. Would you like me to go over what I think you forgot?
You get to have your whore. That's what you get.
She didn't hit her head in the bedstead, Bob. She hit it on a 2x4 that happened to be in your hand at the time. You wailed on her with that 2x4 and you killed her. That's why you took her nightgown off. Then stripped the bed so there was no blood evidence to be seen. Then put her in the tub, face down, started the water in order to stage this looking like an accidental fall and a drowning. Those are some of the things you forgot.
Stand up, put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest for murdering your wife.
On February 18th, 1994, Robert Brantner is found guilty of murder in the second degree and is sentenced to 40 years in prison.
There's other ways to get out of a relationship. Murder's not the best one.
Here is a man who leaves his 3 children to find their naked mother dead in a tub full of water. All because he wants someone new to make his lunch. This is why humans are so difficult to understand and so dangerous to behold.
Coming up, the death of a young artist takes Kenda deep into the Colorado Springs tattoo scene.
Ego can be helpful in terms of you maintaining a level of success, but too much ego can be destructive.
Officer Robert Beekler is patrolling the graveyard shift on the west side of Colorado Springs.
It was October, early morning actually, and the bars had been closed for an hour or so, and things seemed to be pretty quiet around town.
Help me! You gotta help me! You gotta help! Come with me! Help! Come on!
Okay.
That's right! Come on!
The young woman is waving her arms as to get his attention. She's frantic. She's not able to tell him what the problem is. She's just kind of pointing as if she wanted him to follow him up the road.
Get the f off me, man! Please, here, guys!
insert himself between the two guys to separate them.
Get on the ground now!
And then orders them to remain on the ground.
2 Adam 38, start me some extra units as soon as you can.
He's calling for backup.
Do not move, you understand me?
And he looks over, and in one of the doors open into the townhouse, and he sees somebody dead lying on the floor in a pool of blood.
Within a half hour, Lt.Joe Kenda arrives at the scene and what appears to be a late-night party gone horribly wrong.
How you doing, Lieutenant?
How you doing? So what we got?
Our victim's a 22-year-old Philip Titus. He was shot and already deceased when I arrived on scene.
Any idea who shot him?
No, there's 2 guys fighting when I pulled up. I separated them, but they wouldn't say anything.
Interesting. All right, let's take a look at the scene.
Okay.
On the coffee table are a set of tattoo needles and tattoo ink bottles of various colors. Tattoo artists are very talented. This is freehand art of great detail on human skin. They have a technique that is unique to them.
The body's just a canvas. And the artwork that they have on them is just like an artist that would be painting something.
Kenda turns his attention toward the victim, Philip Titus.
He has a blood-soaked towel wrapped around his head.
Can I get a look?
Sure can.
His eyes are open. The fact that his eyes are open indicate instantaneous death. So the gun was pressed right to his head. He's on the floor in the premise with a single gunshot wound to the forehead. It is star-shaped. It is very common in pressure contact wounds that when the bullet is fired, the general energy expended from the muzzle will cause a 5-point star fracture of the bone.
You pull up a shirt. Let me get a look at his tattoos.
Kenda wonders if the tattoos can offer any insight.
Tattoos tell a story, different words or different colors that people put on their bodies that can identify them as being gang members. Or prison tattoos. As a police officer, look at somebody and think, that tells me that they had this kind of lifestyle.
Now the designs aren't tied to any local criminals.
They are tattoos for the sake of tattoos. He is a tattoo enthusiast.
Okay, look underneath him.
Sure can.
We find the expended slug, which has exited his head, and it's under his right shoulder, and it's the .38 caliber pistol round.
Kenda has the officer search the room for the pistol to go with the casing.
Here's the pistol, it's a .38.
We got some gray matter in the barrel there.
Yeah.
When people say the expression, it doesn't have any gray matter, it really is true. Brain tissue is gray. Battleship gray.
So we have a gunshot victim, we have a firearm. What we don't have is who pulled the trigger and why.
To answer those questions, Kenda needs one of these tattoo artists to talk.
Any witnesses?
I have the 2 guys that were fighting when I pulled up. Their names are Dave and Jeff. One says the other shot his friend.
You know which one?
Everybody has gone strangely silent, but David Pinello, he's the tenant. He's reluctant to sign a search waiver for the police, and that certainly raises the level of concern that your reluctance could mean guilt or involvement.
Before questioning Dave and Jeff, Kenda wants to know what transpired before the shooting. And then he spots a young woman standing nervously on the sidewalk.
Bring me the girl in the blue top right there. Thank you. Tell me what your name is?
Cindy Davis.
She explains that this was a gathering of artists. They all tattoo each other for free and discuss things, techniques, new equipment, and about their business.
Need another hug.
Cool hand. We started drinking early evening. Everybody was in a good, fun mood.
According to Cindy, with the booze flowing freely, the tattoo guns continued to buzz late into the evening.
Right now.
Oh, hilarious. You know, it's not gonna...
Come on.
No, guys.
And a fight breaks out that's not really a fight. It's more like a play fight, laughing and shoving.
But Cindy says that when Philip Titus tackled his fellow artist, David Pinello, the roughhousing got out of control.
Whoa.
Now, instead of a play fight, it turns into a real fight.
Next thing you know, there's a gun.
Who had the gun?
And she looks at me, and then she looks at Dave. Well, David, you and I need to have a long talk. We're talking to Cindy Davis about the events of the evening. She reports that a play fight became a real fight.
All right, you guys.
Jeff's tattoo ink got spilled, and the fight continues, and a gun gets involved.
Right now, signs point to Dave Pinello, the man who earlier tried to prevent police from searching his apartment.
So we need to separate him from this group and talk to him individually.
Dave, I'm Lieutenant Kenda. I need you to tell me what happened tonight.
Man, I drank way too much.
You remember pulling out a gun and using the gun on Philip?
No way. This is my best friend. I would never hurt him.
So I said, well, David, help me with something. Why do you hesitate to sign a search waiver to allow the police to look in your house? Is there something in there you don't want us to find?
I was worried about the gun. I guess it's kind of illegal. I didn't register it.
So the gun is yours?
Yes. Yes, it's my gun. I bought it on the street. I didn't mean for anybody to get their hands on it. Are you gonna charge me with possession or something?
He was very concerned for the fact that he didn't have it, quote, registered. But the reality at that time was there was nothing illegal in his actions. Firearms were not required to be registered with the police department.
Dave may be off the hook for a firearms charge, but he's still a prime suspect in the murder of Philip Titus.
And you used that gun to kill Philip tonight?
No, that's not what happened, man.
Just chill out.
Man, come on. Phil grabbed me up off the chair, right? And we're wrestling and we're just messing around.
Seriously? All right, crew. Whoa. Seriously, guys?
And he knocks over the table with the tattoo equipment on it. Jeff becomes very upset with that.
Jeff, I'm sorry, man.
What the hell?
Hey, Jeff, hey, I'm sorry, man. Phil, what the hell, man? Calm down.
All right, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, hey.
What the
Dave claims that even though Philip took the roughhousing too far, Jeff's reaction only made matters worse.
He says that Jeffrey is so angry that his tattoo ink has been spilled and his needles have been scattered.
Hey. Sorry. What the
Damn it!
I'm sorry. Calm down.
Look, it's really not a big of a deal. Look, it's fine. There's not even a mess. We didn't even spill anything. It's fine.
Hey, that's time. Hey, put that gun back in my room.
It's not so funny now, is it?
He's got this gun in his hand, and he's saying things like, I could kill every one of you.
Come on, guys.
This isn't funny, man.
You worthless piece of Calm down, Jeff. It was an accident. What are you going to do with the gun?
Then, according to David, Jeff unloads the gun, takes the 2 live bullets out, and he puts one back in, closes it, cocks the hammer, and says to the victim, "You've got a 50-50 chance." Then he puts the gun to his forehead and pulls the trigger, and kaboom. And Philip is dead before he hits the floor.
Dave's statement matches the evidence that Kenda and his men have recovered from the crime scene.
Why would Jeff get so upset about his tattoo kit getting knocked over?
Beats me, man. It was just like $40 worth of equipment.
All right. Hang out here for a little longer.
In the homicide business, when you have a simple killing, it's called a grounder. Your killer hits a ground ball to the shortstop and they throw him out at first. And that's what this has become. It's a grounder.
Jeff, step over here. Put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest for murder.
Jeffrey Walter, you're under arrest for murder. We handcuff him and take him out.
Kenda needs to find out why Jeff would murder Philip over what amounted to an accident.
So Jeffrey is not only cooperative, but amazingly honest. He is advised of his rights, he waives. He admits it. Yes, I shot him. And then he explains why.
I was working on this tattoo, right? It's a really beautiful piece. A lot of detail. Putting it on a friend's arm. And, we've been at that thing for weeks. Tonight, I was putting on the finishing touches. It's really delicate, really fine, really detailed work. And here I am, focused on my art in the zone, really into it. These idiots ruin everything.
Come on! Oh, hey, man.
That was awesome.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. Hey, Phil.
Well, it's a tattoo. That's going to be a permanent mistake. It's not something that you can wash off.
They have ruined his artwork. The ultimate sin, preventing a tattoo from being correctly done.
Jeez, man, it's not like that big of a deal. Let me take a look. Let me see that thing.
Step the back, man.
Just calm down. What's your talking?
Jeff admits he was beyond furious when he went for the gun, but swears he never intended to kill Philip.
He came at me. He asked me to shoot him.
How do you mean?
You're not a good tattoo artist anyway.
He says that Phil taunted him, saying, "Why don't you just shoot me?" And he ignored him initially, but they'd all been drinking, and Phil wouldn't stop.
Come on, let's see it. Let's see you shoot me. Come on, Jeff. See what you got. You can't even do it. Do it. I dare you. Damn it!
Kenda suspects there's still more to the story. Sure enough, Jeff admits his contempt for Philip had been brewing for months.
He can ink a tattoo, but he's not a real artist. He's a thief. He just copies everything I do.
Copies?
Yeah. I've never seen him put an original piece on anybody. He just steals other artists' work and calls it his own.
It's common in the trade that you don't steal drawings from other tattoo artists.
All right, I'll go get a pad of paper and you can write that up.
Whatever.
Jeffrey Walter pleads guilty to second-degree murder and is sentenced to 26 years in prison.
26 years in prison is a big price to pay for a moment of rage that spirals out of control. It's probably, for Philip's family, not ever going to be enough because they're never going to get him back.
You have a sad formula. Take a gun, add an egotistical attitude, mix it all thoroughly with alcohol. Put this on a low simmer, and you wind up with one dead tattoo artist.
The night it happens doesn't feel like the start of a mystery. It feels like any other Saturday in Miami. Thick air, neon sweating on wet pavement, music leaking from open windows. Somewhere between the ocean breeze and the smell of gasoline, a young woman disappears. The city doesn't even notice. Not yet. It's just after dawn on April 26, 2001, when a patrol unit rolls beneath the elevated highway, cutting through the industrial edge of the city, a place of cracked concrete and flickering sodium lights. Under exit 14B, tucked against a graffiti-stained pillar, sits a silver Honda Civic with its driver's door half open, interior light still glowing a tired yellow in the early gray. The engine is off, the keys are gone. The hazard lights blink like a heartbeat slowly dying. No one is inside. On the passenger seat rests a small leather purse, unzipped but untouched, wallet still there, cash still there, lipstick capped, ID card staring back with the face of a 23-year-old woman with dark eyes and a half-smile frozen in DMV lighting. Her name, Elena Cruz, nursing student, part-time waitress, only child. In 3 hours, she will become the center of a headline. Miami 2001 cold case. Young woman vanishes, car abandoned under overpass. For now, she is just a missing driver in an empty morning. The responding officer does what they always do, runs the plates, radios it in, walks a slow circle around the car, boots scuffing broken glass and bottle caps. No sign of struggle, no obvious blood, no tire marks screaming chase or impact. Just that open door, that lonely interior light, that purse sitting upright like someone set it down and said, "I'll be right back." Except she never comes back. He checks the trunk, empty. Flashlight beam cuts through stale air. Nothing. He pops the glove box. Registration, insurance papers, an old parking ticket folded over itself. On the floor mat, almost hidden under the seat, a single white sneaker, women's size 6. Clean. Its partner is nowhere in the car. By 7 in the morning, the tow truck is on scene. The car is lifted, angled, rolled onto the flatbed, metal chains clinking like handcuffs. Under the vehicle, they find one more thing, a plastic hospital visitor's badge, cracked, streaked with grime, Elena's first name written in blue pen. The badge is dated 2 days earlier. The hospital printed on the front is across town, 15 miles from here. The officer frowns, pockets it for evidence, and in that small movement, a cold case is born. To understand why this abandoned Honda will haunt Miami for years, you have to see Elena the way her neighborhood sees her the night before she vanishes. It's Little Havana in full weekend mode. Dominoes cracking on tabletops, old men arguing about baseball and politics, kids weaving between parked cars, the smell of fried plantains and cheap beer hanging thick in stairwells. Elena moves through it all with a speed that says she's late again. Her hair is pulled back, her scrubs are swapped for jeans and a faded University of Miami t-shirt, and her backpack is slung low on one shoulder, bulging with textbooks she probably won't open tonight. She clocks out from the diner at 10:37 p.m., slipping through the kitchen door with a wave to the line cook, grease and steam clinging to her clothes. Security camera footage catches her crossing the parking lot, balancing her car keys and a styrofoam box of leftover fries. She is alone. No one follows her out. No argument. No stranger waiting in the shadows. She gets into the Honda. Lights wash over the asphalt as she starts the engine, and then she disappears from the lens as if swallowed by the dark. According to her coworkers, she is supposed to go straight home. According to her mother, she is supposed to call when she gets in. According to her shift schedule, she is supposed to be back at the hospital by 7 a.m. for clinical rotations. Elena does none of those things. Her bedroom light stays off. Her phone stays silent. Her bed that night will remain perfectly made, pillows untouched, uniform hanging on the back of her chair, name tag clipped and ready. Around midnight, a neighbor hears a car door slam somewhere on the street and a woman's voice, sharp and scared, cutting through the hum of traffic. But in Miami, car doors slam all night, people shout, music blares, nobody calls the cops for a sound that lasts less than 5 seconds. At 3:14 a.m., another camera, this one grainy and mounted outside a closed auto shop off the highway, catches a blurry silver shape pulling to the curb just beneath exit 14B. The timestamp flickers. The video is black and white, smeared by streetlight glare and static. The car is likely Elena's Honda, investigators will later say. The driver's side door opens. A figure steps out, small feminine silhouette, ponytail visible for a heartbeat. She takes one step away from the car, and then the image jumps, freezes, and loses her in a wash of white. When the frame clears, the door is still open. The figure is gone. No other vehicles enter the shot. No one walks into frame. She just vanishes. By Sunday afternoon, when Elena fails to show up at the hospital and doesn't answer her mother's calls, the first threads of panic begin to tighten. Her mother, Rosa, starts with the usual explanations. Maybe she stayed at a friend's place, forgot to plug in the phone, slept through her alarm. But as hours stretch and her imagination fills the silence with sirens and headlines, she gets in her own car and begins to drive, tracing Elena's usual routes, scanning sidewalks for that familiar quick stride. She checks the diner, she checks the hospital, she checks the gas station where Elena always stops for coffee. Nothing. By evening, Rosa walks into the local precinct, hands trembling, voice already hoarse from calling her daughter's name into the void. "My daughter is missing," she says, and the desk sergeant gives her that look, polite, tired, used to this sentence. "How old is she?" 23. "Any history of running away?" "No." "Boyfriend trouble? Drugs? Depression?" Rosa shakes her head to all of it. "She's not like that," she insists, as if personality can stop a predator, as if good intentions are bulletproof. The report is taken. The officer types with 2 fingers, keys clicking slow, while the clock over his desk ticks faster than any of them realize. Somewhere in the city, a car is already sitting under an overpass, its hazard lights blinking into the emptiness. When the abandoned Honda finally connects to Elena's name, everything changes. The address on her driver's license matches the missing person report. The precinct that took her mother's statement gets a call from traffic division. The case file shifts in an instant from "maybe she'll turn up" to "we have a problem." Within hours, detectives are in Rosa's small apartment, sitting on a couch that sags in the middle, notebook open, tape recorder humming quietly on the coffee table. They ask about Elena's week, her friends, her enemies, her ex-boyfriend if there is one. Did she seem stressed? Did she say she was scared of anyone? Had she mentioned the hospital visitor's badge, now bagged and tagged with her name? Rosa stares at the clear plastic evidence sleeve, at her daughter's handwriting, and tries to remember. 2 days ago, Elena came home late, smelling like antiseptic and cold cafeteria coffee, talking about a patient in vague, guarded terms. "We're not supposed to share details," she had said, tossing the visitor's badge onto the kitchen counter. "HIPAA, Mom, it's serious." Then she laughed, tried to change the subject. Tonight, that badge is the only solid thing tying Elena to anywhere she might have been before the highway. Detectives drive to the hospital with the kind of urgency that makes other cars move aside without sirens. The badge says she visited room 514. The logbook confirms it. Friday afternoon, 2 days before the car is found, Elena signs in at 3:22 p.m., writes "family friend" in the relationship box, and disappears into the elevator. There is no sign-out time, no notation that she ever left. Room 514 belongs to a man named Miguel Alvarez, 41, construction foreman, brought in after a fall from scaffolding at a downtown site. Broken ribs, fractured wrist, mild concussion, stable, alert, talkative. He tells detectives he remembers a young woman visiting late that afternoon. Dark ponytail, tired eyes, friendly smile. "She said she was checking on me for someone at the site," he says, brow furrowed. "But I didn't know her. She knew my name, though." He shrugs. "We talked for maybe 10 minutes, then a nurse called her out into the hallway. I never saw her come back." The nurse on duty swears she never called Elena. In fact, she doesn't remember seeing her at all. Back at the overpass, crime scene techs comb the area inch by inch. Gravel shifts under their knees, the roar of passing traffic drowning out their muttered observations. They dust the steering wheel for prints, swab door handles, photograph every smudge and fiber. They bag the lone sneaker, measure the distance from the car to the highway pillar, log the exact angle of the open door. Under a nearby guardrail, half buried in dirt and cigarette butts, one of them finds something that doesn't belong, a Polaroid photo, water damaged, edges curled, colors bled into each other like bruises. The picture, once carefully dried and enhanced, will become the most chilling piece of evidence in the Miami 2001 cold case. The image shows what appears to be the inside of a dimly lit room, a single metal chair positioned in the center, chain dangling from its armrest. No person is visible. In the upper corner of the photo, in black marker, someone has written 2 words and a date. First warning, 04/15/01, 1 week before Elena's disappearance. Detectives will argue over that Polaroid for months. Is it a staged photo, a cruel joke? Is the room real, a location somewhere in the city waiting to be found? Is the date a countdown, a threat aimed at someone who never saw it? No fingerprints, no identifiable objects in the shot, no visible windows, no view outside, just a chair, a chain, and a message. As news of Elena's disappearance leaks into the local media, the city reacts the way it always reacts to a missing person story. Brief shock, quick sympathy, then curiosity. The first segment airs on the late-night broadcast. Nursing student's car found abandoned under I-95. Police treating case as suspicious. Elena's photo flashes on the screen. That half smile suddenly tragic, the word missing hovering under her chin in bold red. Neighbors come forward. They remember little things. A dark sedan parked too long on the corner. A man in a baseball cap leaning against the wall near the diner. A phone call Elena took in the hallway, her voice dropping low, her back to the room. None of it forms a clean line. Every account is slightly different, colored by fear, by guilt, by the simple fact that most people don't pay attention until they're asked to remember. In the days that follow, search teams fan out across fields, canals, empty lots. Volunteers staple flyers to telephone poles, Elena's photo multiplying across the city until it feels like she's everywhere and nowhere at once. Police dogs sniff along the edges of the highway embankment, noses twitching, tails low. Helicopters sweep the mangroves and marshes at the edge of the urban sprawl, spotlight beams scraping over black water, no body, no clothing, no trace beyond that car and that sneaker and that eerie Polaroid. And as the sun sets on the first week of the investigation, as another night falls heavy over Miami's restless streets, one question begins to echo in living rooms, squad rooms, and the back corners of late-night diners. Did Elena Cruz stumble into the path of a stranger in the wrong place at the wrong time, or did she cross a line drawn by someone who had been watching her, waiting, sending warnings no one saw until it was much, much too late? By the second week, the name Elena Cruz stops being just a missing person and starts becoming a story. Not the kind you tell over coffee, not the kind you knead into gossip. The kind you whisper to yourself when you're walking alone across a dim parking lot, and every shadow looks like a hand. Her face is on every local broadcast, in every corner store, taped to drive-through windows and bus shelters. The city has seen missing girls before. Runaways, custody battles, lovers' spats. But something about the car under the overpass, the single shoe, the Polaroid, hooks into people and refuses to let go. Inside the Miami Police Department's homicide unit, a glass-walled conference room slowly turns into a shrine of failure and obsession. They call it the War Room, like they always do. On one wall, a blown-up map of the city, colored pins stuck in with grim precision. Diner, hospital, overpass, home, workplace, last confirmed sightings. On another wall, photographs. Elena in her nursing scrubs. Elena at a birthday party. The Honda Civic under harsh crime scene flash. The overpass, the Polaroid. The chair, the chain. The handwritten words. First warning, 04-15-01. At the center of it all is Detective Daniel Vega, 10 years on the job, 5 in homicide, tired eyes, loosened tie, a way of talking that makes witnesses want to fill the silence. He did not ask for this case. It landed on his desk because he was the one on rotation that weekend. But within days, it starts to feel less like a file and more like a dare. Vega stands in the doorway of the war room, coffee in hand, and stares at the timeline running across the whiteboard like a lifeline that suddenly snaps. Friday afternoon, hospital visit, room 514. Saturday night, Elena clocks out from the diner at 10:37 p.m. Somewhere between those points, something happens that no one can see and no one can agree on. He goes back to the beginning. He always goes back to the beginning. He interviews Miguel Alvarez again, this time in the corner of the hospital cafeteria instead of his room. Miguel's wrist is still in a cast. His ribs still ache. He doesn't understand why the police keep circling back to him. She was nice, he insists. We talked about my job, about how I fell. She asked if I remembered everything that happened on the site that day. I thought maybe she was from the company, like checking on safety or something. Did she say who sent her? Vega asks. Miguel frowns. She said she was asking for someone who couldn't come in person. I thought she meant my boss. He shifts in his chair, eyes darting away for a second. Look, man, I didn't do anything to that girl. Vega believes him, mostly. But belief doesn't get cases solved. He checks the construction company, the site foreman, the co-workers. No one has heard of Elena. No one requested a visit. No one asked her to talk to Miguel. So if she wasn't there on official business, why did she go to room 514? Why sign in as family friend for a man she doesn't know? And why, somewhere between that hospital corridor and the underpass, does a Polaroid with a threat dated a week earlier drop into her orbit? The badge sits in an evidence bag on Vega's desk when the first anonymous call comes in. It's a Tuesday, late. The hum of fluorescent lights the only thing louder than the AC. He almost lets the phone go to voicemail. Almost. The voice is male, distorted like it's coming through a fan or an old tape. Calm, too calm. You're looking in the wrong place, the caller says. No greeting, no introduction. She didn't disappear at the highway. Vega straightens in his chair, pen poised over a notepad that already knows the shape of this conversation. Who is this? Silence for a beat. Then, you keep staring at the overpass because you like the photograph. It's dramatic, the car, the shoe, the lights, but that's not where she met him. Met who? The man with the room. The voice flattens on the last word, almost reverent. The chair and the chain. That's what you should be looking for, that room. Where is it? Vega pushes. What's your name? The line crackles, a stutter of static. Check the girls from the 90s, the caller says. The ones nobody looked for. You'll see the pattern. Then the dial tone. The call is traced as far as the payphone outside a 24-hour laundromat in Overtown. By the time a patrol car screeches up, lights slicing the night, the booth is empty. Cameras in the area are old, misaligned, half of them pointed at the wrong corners of the building. In the fuzzy recordings they manage to pull, all they see is a man in a hoodie, face turned away, head down, feeding coins into the slot. The tape becomes another piece on Vega's wall, another question with no answer. But the tip lodges in his mind. Check the girls from the 90s. It sounds like a taunt. It sounds like a map. He pulls old files out of storage, boxes thick with dust and neglect, missing persons, unidentified remains, runaways who never came home, women found in canals, in vacant lots behind dumpsters, some solved, most not. He lines them up on the war room table, flipping through pages, looking for anything that might feel like that cold Polaroid in his gut, and slowly a shape begins to form. 1993. A 16-year-old named Carla Mendoza disappears on her way home from a night shift at a bakery. Her backpack is found 3 days later behind a bus depot. No suspect, no solid leads. 1995. A hotel maid, 21, named Alicia Torres, fails to show up for her morning shift. Her car is discovered in a parking garage downtown. Keys missing, purse left behind, no signs of struggle. 1998. A college student, 20, named Jennifer Park, vanishes after visiting a friend at a hospital in Coral Gables. The only trace left behind is a visitor's badge crumpled in the pocket of her jacket, found later in a donation bin. Different girls, different years, different neighborhoods. But one detail repeats like a glitch. The presence of a hospital somewhere in the story, a visit, a shift, a hallway, a corridor, then an abrupt silence. When Vega requests access to evidence from those older cases, he doesn't expect much. Time erodes everything. Memories, paper records, the clarity of old photos. Some evidence is lost, some destroyed according to protocol. But in 2 files, Alicia's and Jennifer's, there are Polaroids. Not tied directly to the crime, never fully explained, dismissed at the time as maybe unrelated, maybe prank, both recovered near the victim's last known location. The first shows an empty stairwell, concrete steps spiraling down, a metal handrail worn shiny in the middle. No people, no obvious clues. Just in the corner, a message in the same hand-scrawled black marker. Second chance, 08-09-95. The second shows a steel door with no handle on the inside, just a small rectangular window of wired glass. The message reads, Final Room, 11-12-98. 3 images now, 3 warnings, 3 dates. 1 girl from 1995, 1 from 1998, 1 from 2001. 3 unsolved disappearances that start to feel less random and more like a rhythm. Vega stares at the Polaroids lined up on his desk until the edges blur. First warning, second chance. Final room. It reads like a sentence with missing words, like a countdown. The dates are years apart, but the handwriting doesn't age. The style of the shots doesn't change. Whoever took these photos has patience and a plan. He brings the pattern to his lieutenant, a thick file under his arm, adrenaline buzzing like caffeine in his veins. We're not just dealing with a single abduction, he says. This is a series, maybe a serial offender. Same city, same kind of victims, same creepy calling cards. We're dealing with someone who likes hospitals, someone who stalks women on the edge of exhaustion and routine. The lieutenant listens, eyes narrowing, jaw clicking as he chews gum hard enough to crack. Serial. The word tastes bad in any city, but in Miami, still shadowed by the echoes of earlier monsters, it tastes worse. You're basing this on photographs and vibes, he says. That's a hard sell to the brass. Harder still to the public. But it's there, Vega insists. The Polaroids, the hospital connections, the cars left behind with personal items intact. It's like he's daring us to tie them together. You know what happens when we say the word serial on TV? The lieutenant replies. People panic. They see ghosts in every parking garage. We get buried in false leads. Unless you can give me something concrete that links this guy to Elena, it stays a theory on your board, not our front page. Concrete. The word hangs heavy. Vega leaves the office with his file still under his arm, the lieutenant's non-answer trailing behind him. Outside the station, rain starts to fall, slow and deliberate, turning the streetlights into smeared halos. Somewhere out there, he thinks, is a room that looks exactly like the one in that first Polaroid. A chair. A chain. Maybe peeling paint. Maybe a hum from a cheap overhead bulb. People don't build rooms like that in the center of town. They build them where no one hears screaming. He starts combing through zoning records and inspection logs, searching for basements, storage units, decommissioned hospital wings, closed clinics, old surgical suites sold off to private buyers. The list grows long and unwieldy. There are too many forgotten rooms in a city this size, too many doors with no reason to open them. While Vega chases his invisible architect, the city reacts the only way it knows how, with fear masked as anger. Talk radio hosts grill officials demanding answers. Why wasn't Elena protected? Why are young women vanishing after visiting hospitals? Is there a predator in the corridors, in the parking structures, in the stairwells? At the hospital where Elena signed in, administrators scramble to reassure the public. They upgrade cameras, hire more security guards, issue statements. But the staff feel the shift. Nurses check over their shoulders, walking to their cars. Residents walk in groups, white coats flapping like flags as they cross dark lots together. Every stranger in a hallway becomes a potential threat, every unclaimed visitor badge a ghost. Rosa, meanwhile, sits at her kitchen table under a yellowed ceiling light, staring at her daughter's untouched cereal bowl. It's still in the cupboard, clean but waiting, as if Elena might walk in the door at any moment and complain about being late and pour herself a serving. The detectives visit often. They bring updates that don't feel like updates. We're following leads. We're working with other departments. Nothing we can share yet. The words start to sound like static. One evening, Vega shows Rosa the Polaroid of the chair and the chain. He doesn't have to. It's not strictly necessary for the investigation, but he's hoping for that flicker in her eyes. Recognition. Anything. She recoils when she sees it, one hand flying to her mouth. "Why would you show me this?" she whispers, eyes filling. "Have you seen anything like this before?" He pushes gently. "In real life, in a movie, on a flyer, anything Elena might have mentioned?" Rosa shakes her head, tears tracking down her cheeks. "She was afraid of basements," she says, voice cracking. "Since she was a kid, afraid of being underground. She wouldn't go anywhere like that willingly." "That fear come from somewhere?" "When she was 8, Rosa says slowly. "We lived in an apartment building with a laundry room in the basement. One night, the lights went out while she was down there with me. It was only a few seconds, but she screamed and screamed. After that, she refused to go down there again, even as a teenager. She wipes her face, angry with herself, angry with the world. I know it's nothing, but it feels like something." To Vega, it does feel like something. Not evidence, not proof, just another cruel twist. If Elena ended her night in a room like the one in the photo, it would have been her worst nightmare made real. Days slide into weeks. The file grows thicker. The evidence does not. A tip line set up by the department drowns in noise. Sightings of Elena in cities she's never been to, psychics calling with visions, jealous exes trying to weaponize the investigation. For every potential lead, there are 10 dead ends. Each one drains time, energy, hope. In the war room, the photos on the wall start to curl at the corners from the air conditioning. The ink on the timeline fades under fingers that keep tracing it, over and over, searching for cracks. Vega stays late, falls asleep in his chair, wakes with a start at 2 in the morning to the sound of the cleaner's vacuum outside and the weight of failure like a hand on his chest. One night, alone in the building except for the skeleton crew, he pins the 3 Polaroids in a perfect vertical line. First warning, second chance, final room. Beneath them, he pins Elena's portrait, then Carla's, then Alicia's, then Jennifer's. 4 young women, 4 sets of eyes staring out at him from different years, different clothes, the same unknowable expression. He steps back. Something about the arrangement makes his skin crawl. He notices for the first time the spacing of the dates. 1995, 1998, 2001, 3-year gaps, regular, almost methodical, like someone's internal clock ticking off cycles, like seasons. 3 years between Alicia and Jennifer, 3 years between Jennifer and Elena. 3 years. He grabs a pen and circles the years, underlines the pattern on the board. If he's right, then Elena's disappearance is not just another in a scattered mess. It's part of a schedule. And if the schedule means anything, then somewhere in the years before 1995, maybe 1992, maybe 1989, there were others. Victims no one connected, Polaroids no one found, missing girls nobody filed reports for. "Check the girls from the 90s, the anonymous caller said. It hits Vega then that the caller didn't say start with the 90s. He said check them, as if the 90s were the middle of the story, not the beginning. The realization doesn't solve anything. It just makes the shadows deeper. It stretches the possible timeline of the unseen predator farther back into the past, into a decade of bad records and worse memory. Outside, the city keeps moving. Boats slip through black water. Sirens rise and fall. Music thumps behind closed doors. Somewhere, someone is laughing too loud at a joke, unaware of the photograph of a metal chair pinned to a wall miles away, unaware of the way a single missing girl's name has become a quiet curse whispered between detectives. The case does not go cold overnight. It cools slowly, like coffee left untouched on a desk as the phone rings and other emergencies pull attention elsewhere. A stabbing here, a shooting there. Life and death go on. But under the surface, in the files and the photographs and the sleepless eyes of the people who cannot let it go, the Miami 2001 case is already changing shape, already shifting from active investigation to something else, something heavier, a story that will not end, a question that will not be answered, not yet. Time moves, files don't. Summer hits Miami hard, pressing down on the city with humid hands, and somewhere in the air-conditioned quiet of the homicide floor, the Miami 2001 case sits in its box, thick, heavy, marked with a case number and a last name that refuses to fade. Cruz, Elena. Detectives walk past it every day. Some nod at it, Some don't, but everyone feels it, the way you feel a storm that never breaks. The first anniversary comes like a punch. April 22nd, 2002. 1 year since the Honda under the overpass. 1 year since the girl with the dark eyes and the half smile stepped out of a grainy frame and never came back. Local news stations treat it like a ritual. 1 year later, the anchors say, the words rolling clean and practiced like they've said them too many times for too many families. They replay the same footage. The car, the overpass, the crying mother. Still no suspects. Still no answers. Rosa stands in front of the cameras, hands clenched around a photo of her daughter, fingers digging into the edges like she can hold Elena in place by grip alone. Her voice doesn't shake. It's past shaking. It's worn down to something raw and permanent. If you know something, she says, staring straight into the lens, straight into every living room in the city, say it. Stop hiding. My daughter is not a headline. She is not a ghost. She is real, and I will not let you forget her. In the background, just out of frame, Vega watches, jaw tight. He doesn't like anniversaries. They bring out the worst and the best in people. Guilt, attention seekers. Old witnesses suddenly remembering new details that distract and derail. But they also stir things up, shake loose what time tried to bury. The anniversary broadcast ends at 7:14 p.m. At 7:19, the tip line rings. The operator is ready for the usual. Yes, ma'am, we'll pass that on. Yes, sir, we've checked that avenue. Thank you. But this voice is different, female, low, controlled, no distortion this time, no static, just a calm, steady tone that doesn't match the words. I've seen the Polaroids, the caller says. The operator sits up straighter. Can you repeat that? The photos, the woman says. The chair, the stairs, the door. He shows them to us before he chooses. The room suddenly feels colder. The operator motions frantically to a supervisor, writes down the words as they're spoken. Ma'am, where are you calling from? Somewhere bright, she replies, almost amused. Don't worry, I'm safe. For now. Who is he? A pause. A sound that might be a breath, might be a laugh. You call him whatever you want, she says. He doesn't use names, not with us. Did you know Elena? The operator pushes. Do you know what happened to her? I know she didn't listen, the caller says. The calm cracks for the first time, just a hairline fracture. He gives them warnings, not because he cares, because he likes the fear. First warning, second chance, final room. You've seen the sequence. How do you know about that? Because I got the first one, she says quietly. 1992, a different city, same kind of chair, same kind of chain, same kind of handwriting. I left, I moved, I changed everything. I thought I outran him, and now I turn on my TV and I see that room again. In your city, with your girls. He moved, he followed his game here. Ma'am, we need your name, your address, somewhere we can meet. No. The word comes sharp, final. I don't want to be part of this story again. I just wanted you to know it didn't start with Elena. Or those other girls from the 90s. It started before, maybe much before. Check the old reports, the old disappearances. Women who got warnings and didn't run like I did. Can you describe him? Silence. The operator hears something in the background, distant traffic, the clink of glass, a TV on low. When the caller speaks again, her voice is far away. He likes places where people are already scared, she murmurs. Hospitals, clinics, emergency rooms. You don't look twice at a man in those halls. Everyone looks tired. Everyone looks worried. Everyone looks like they belong. Please, just give us a name. The line goes dead. This time, they don't trace a payphone. They trace a landline to a small apartment building in North Beach. By the time units arrive, the door of 3B stands slightly ajar. Inside, a couch, a TV still on, static hissing, an ashtray with a single burning cigarette, a mug of coffee cooling on the table. The receiver of the phone dangles off the hook, gently swinging. The apartment is otherwise empty. No signs of struggle, no forced entry, clothes in the closet, half-empty fridge, toothbrush by the sink. Whoever called left in a hurry or has been gone much longer than the heat of the cigarette suggests. Fingerprint techs dust the place, bag the cigarette butt, the mug, the phone. Prior tenant records show the unit rented under a false name with a fake ID that falls apart under scrutiny. No matching prints in the system. No neighbors who saw the woman clearly enough to give more than the basics. Average height, dark hair, keeps to herself. One neighbor thinks she heard her crying through the wall 3 nights in a row about a month ago. Another swears he saw a man in the hallway once, but can't remember a face. Just a dark jacket and a limp. In the war room, a new photo goes up. The empty apartment, the swinging phone, the coffee mug. Underneath it, in red marker, Vega writes 1992 victim with a question mark that looks more like a wound. The case shifts again, not forward, just sideways into a deeper pool of unease. Now they're not just chasing a faceless predator, they're chasing his shadow through someone else's nightmares, someone who has survived but refuses to step fully into the light. The public doesn't hear about the second call, not the details, not the date 1992, not the suggestion that this might stretch back even farther. The department keeps that locked down, afraid of starting a panic they can't control. The official line stays clean and rehearsed. We are investigating all possibilities. We are reviewing connections to other unsolved cases. We urge anyone with information to come forward. But word leaks in other ways. Cops talk, nurses talk. The city's rumor mill kicks into high gear. Stories bend, break, merge. Now it's not just a hospital stalker on people's lips. It's the man with the room. It's the chain. It's the guy who sends pictures before he takes you. Parents start picking up their daughters from late shifts in person. Some women quit night work altogether. Parking garages suddenly feel like mazes. Stairwells like traps. Every fluorescent-lit hospital corridor becomes a narrow throat nobody wants to walk down alone. Meanwhile, the files keep piling up in front of Vega. Old disappearances, old Polaroids, old names no one cared about at the time. Girls who went missing from outside bus stops and laundromats and clinics in other cities. Tampa, Jacksonville, Atlanta. Cases buried under the weight of years and bureaucracy. Some have one detail in common, a mention of a photo, a warning that was laughed off, thrown away, never found. He sends requests to other departments across the state, then across state lines. Any unsolved cases involving Polaroid photos with messages written in black marker, the fax reads. Any references to chairs, chains, basements, warnings, or chances noted by victims or families prior to disappearances. Most replies are unhelpful, some are infuriating. Records destroyed, evidence misplaced, case closed by default. A few send photocopied pages with photocopied fear. Mothers mentioning strange pictures slipped under doors. Girlfriends talking about Polaroids left on car windshields. Sisters describing snapshots of empty rooms arriving in the mail with no return address. No one took them seriously. Not then. Now they all stare back from the war room walls. A gallery of empty spaces, chairs, stairs, doors, corners of rooms where something terrible could happen but hasn't yet in the frame. It looks less like evidence and more like an artist's portfolio, a series of staged scenes built around the same obsession. And through it all, Elena's case sits at the center, like a spider at the middle of a web of ghosts. She is the most recent, the face people know, the name the reporters still say. One of those reporters is named Mark Sullivan, crime beat, mid-30s, too many late nights, the kind of guy who lives off bad coffee and worse vending machine snacks, chasing fire trucks and squad cars for a living. He's been following the Cruz story from day one. His voice, the one that first said Miami 2001 cold case on air when the investigation hit its first wall. But the longer the case lingers, the more it gets under his skin. He starts digging on his own time. Old microfilm, archived tapes, a box of clippings in his cramped apartment, growing fatter every week. He's not a cop, he doesn't have access to the war room, but he has something else, the freedom to ask questions the department won't, to poke at stories they'd rather keep quiet. He talks to nurses who won't go on record, orderlies who remember seeing a man in scrubs who didn't work any shift but always seemed to be around, security guards who swear they chased a shadowy figure out of a stairwell years ago, long before Elena ever stepped into a hospital hallway. Most of it goes nowhere, hints, half-memories, ghosts of ghosts. But then one night sitting alone in the editing bay going through old footage for a retrospective piece on unsolved Miami crimes, Sullivan pauses his hand on the jog wheel, rewinds, plays, freezes. On the screen is B-roll from 1998, a news piece about the disappearance of Jennifer Park. The camera pans the hospital lobby, nurses moving quickly, families clustered on plastic chairs, the usual chaos of an overworked facility. The reporter's voice, younger, floats over the images. Security footage shows the missing student entering the hospital Friday afternoon. And then, in a half second, blink and you miss it, background blur, a man, standing near the bank of elevators. Hands in the pockets of a dark jacket, head tilted slightly, as if listening to something only he can hear. The camera's focus shifts and he smears into anonymity, but for a single frame his face is almost clear. Sullivan leans in. The man doesn't look at the camera, he looks past it, past everyone, eyes flat, mouth neutral, like he's already bored. Behind him on the wall, a corkboard with flyers. On one of those flyers, just barely visible, lines fuzzy, the corner of a photograph, a metal chair, a chain. The tape shakes in Sullivan's hand as he pulls it out. He drives to the station with his heart pounding too hard to be just caffeine. When Vega is dragged into the small room with the monitor, skepticism written all over his face, the last thing he expects is for a reporter to show him something he hasn't already seen 100 times. But as the footage rolls, as Sullivan freezes that one frame, something in Vega's chest goes cold. The man is ordinary, forgettable, dark hair, mid-30s maybe, no visible scars, no dramatic trench coat. He looks like someone you'd pass in a grocery store and never think about again, but that's exactly what makes him terrifying. Security never tagged this, Vega mutters. They never looked, Sullivan replies. Not for him, not then. They were focused on Jennifer, the girl who walked in and didn't walk out. Careful, Sullivan, Vega warns. You're walking close to a line here. You don't have the full picture. Neither do you, Sullivan shoots back quietly. But I think we just found a piece that was missing. Vega copies the frame, enlarges, enhances until the pixels protest, sends it to every hospital security office in the city, then to state databases. Facial recognition comes back empty. No matches in criminal records, no driver's license, no employment ID. Whoever he is, he lives in the spaces between official lines, just like his rooms. Weeks later, a nurse at a different hospital, one nowhere near the Cruz case, flags a security tape on her own shift. She's been watching the news too much. She's been seeing that frame replayed in her head. In the tape, recorded 3 nights after Elena disappeared, a man in a dark jacket stands near the vending machines, hands in his pockets, head tilted the exact same way. He doesn't buy anything. He just stands, watching people move in and out of the emergency department. His face is turned away, profile only. But the slope of the nose, the set of the shoulders, they rhyme with the man from 1998. Security pulls the logs. No corresponding badge swipe. No patient admitted under his name. No visitor registered with his description. On paper, he does not exist. In the fluorescent-lit limbo of the tape, he is as real as anyone. Vega adds 2 stills side by side to the war room wall. 1998, 2001, same posture, same vacancy in the eyes. He writes underneath, unsub, unknown subject, unidentified suspect, phantom. The years roll on. New crimes, new killers, new headlines. Hurricanes tear through the city and leave their scars. Buildings go up where empty lots once held search teams and TV trucks. The overpass at Exit 14B is repainted, the graffiti scrubbed away. The pillar where the Honda once sat, now just another piece of concrete holding up the weight of rushing cars. But some things don't move. A mother's grief, a detective's stubbornness, a reporter's obsession, the Polaroids, sealed in plastic, trapped in their own silent rooms. By the time a decade has passed, the Miami 2001 case has officially joined the ranks of the cold. No more active leads, no more daily briefings, no more overtime allocated just to stare at the same photographs. It becomes a file you pull on anniversaries, on slow weeks, on nights when an old detective can't sleep and finds himself in front of a cabinet he never stopped thinking about. It should fade. It doesn't. Because every few years, when the city starts to forget, something happens. A new tip, a new photo, a whisper, a shape caught on a camera where it shouldn't be, a chair in a basement that looks too much like the one in the picture, a chain bolted to a floor in a decommissioned clinic, rusted, unused, or used and cleaned very, very carefully, none of it ever quite enough. And always, somewhere in the background, in the thin line between fluorescent light and shadow, a man no one can name stands with his hands in his pockets, watching corridors that smell like fear. By the time the calendar clicks past 10 years, the Miami 2001 case has turned into something else. Not just a file, not just a story. It's an ecosystem, a legend that feeds on late-night reruns, faded headlines, and people who can't stand not knowing. The official investigation is cold, stamped, and shelved, but out there, in the glow of computer screens and the hum of cheap laptops, the case is burning hot. The internet has grown teeth. True crime forums multiply. Message boards fill with usernames instead of faces, avatars instead of IDs. Somewhere in that digital crowd, someone uploads 3 grainy Polaroids and 4 photographs of missing girls. A chair, a stairwell, a steel door. Underneath, in all caps, a title, The Miami Room Killer. The post spreads, first locally, then statewide, then beyond. Strangers from other cities, other countries, weigh in as if they were standing under the overpass themselves, as if they had walked those hospital corridors, as if they knew Elena personally. Threads unspool for pages. People debate the angle of the chair legs, the brand of the chain, the thickness of the concrete walls. Someone claims you can see a reflection of the photographer in the glass of the steel door if you zoom in enough. You can't, but they try. They give him names. The room man, the Polaroid stalker, the hospital hunter. None of them stick in the real world, but online the legend grows. One night, in a cramped studio apartment that smells like instant noodles and old coffee, Mark Sullivan's cursor hovers over that forum thread. His face is older now, lined around the eyes, hair starting to thin at the temples. He should be asleep. He has a morning briefing, a real story to cover. But there it is again, Elena's half-smile, framed by a badly scanned flyer some stranger uploaded, sitting between pop-up ads and conspiracy theories. He scrolls through the comments, half disgusted, half intrigued. Some are ghoulish, people treating the case like a puzzle box to solve for entertainment. Others are careful, almost reverent regulars who know too well what real loss looks like and try to keep the freaks in check. And buried in the noise, a username he's never seen before, Basement Witness. The post is short, plain, no caps, no emojis, no flair. I've seen the last room, it says. It's not just in a photo, it's real. Or it was. Replies pounce. Pics or it didn't happen. Stop LARPing, dude. Details. Location? The user comes back once. Abandoned wing, south side of St. Augustine Medical, sublevel. Closed after flood, early 2000s. Chair was gone when I saw it. Chain wasn't. Sullivan's pulse kicks. St. Augustine Medical isn't in St. Augustine. It's a mid-size hospital in Miami, on the fringe of a residential area known more for budget cuts than miracles. Elena never signed in there, not on record. But hospitals are rivers. People flow between them. Patients transferred, staff moonlighting, visitors going where they're told. He cross-checks the timeline in his head. Early 2000s, a flood, an abandoned wing, a chain. It fits too neatly. It feels like bait. He doesn't sleep. He writes. By morning, he's pitched a long-form piece to his editor, 10 Years Cold, The Women, the Rooms, and the City That Can't Forget. The editor hears the hook, hears the ratings, signs off with a sigh and a warning. Don't poke the department too hard, he says. They hate it when the cameras show up before they're ready. The cameras show up anyway. They film Rosa first, they always do. She sits at her kitchen table under that same tired ceiling light, Elena's photo on the wall behind her, the edges of the frame just starting to warp from sun and time. She speaks more softly now, like every word has to fight through 10 years of silence. They think I'll stop asking, she says, staring down at her hands. I won't. I can't. My life stopped that night. The world kept going. I didn't. Then Sullivan interviews Vega. The detective is older too, silver at his temples, a stiffness in his shoulder he didn't have before. He's been moved around, promoted sideways, the way departments do when they want to honor your years without giving you too much power. The cruise file is not officially his anymore. Unofficially, it never left. You still think he's out there, Sullivan says, voice low, camera light in the corner of Vega's eye. I think whoever did this didn't just evaporate, Vega answers carefully. People don't build rooms like that to use once. They build them because they like what those rooms let them do. Do you buy the online theories? I buy that people hate unsolved mysteries, Vega says. They'll build answers out of thin air if we don't give them real ones. Maybe it's time to look into one of those answers, Sullivan presses. What about the abandoned wing at St. Augustine Medical? The name hits the air like a dropped plate. Vega doesn't react right away. He takes a slow breath. There it is then. The rumor that slipped out of the wires and onto his desk before the interview. An internal memo forwarded for awareness. The same username, the same claim. We follow up everything credible, he says, eyes narrowing just slightly. If there's a room, we'll find it. The piece airs. Slick, cinematic, old footage of rain on the overpass, new shots of fluorescent hospital corridors empty at night, a slow push on the Polaroids until the chair, the chain, the steel door fill the screen. The phone lines buzz for days. Behind the scenes, Vega signs a request. Access to sublevel storage, South Wing, St. Augustine Medical. There was a flood in 2002, the year after Elena vanished. Broken pipe, bad plumbing, insurance nightmare. The wing was closed instead of repaired. Cheaper to seal it off than fix every corroded pipe. For 10 years, the doors have stayed locked. The maintenance supervisor meets them at a side entrance on a Tuesday morning when the sun is bright and the air outside is already heavy. His name is Ortiz, 50-something. Keys jangling from his belt, clipboard under his arm. He looks like a man used to being invisible in his own building. That's why his eyes look so strange today. Too wide, too aware. I shouldn't even be showing you this, he mutters as he leads Vega and two crime scene techs down a bare, echoing hallway. They told us to stay out. Unsafe. Unnecessary. But when I saw that thing on TV, he shakes his head. I started dreaming about it, that room. I've walked past that door 100 times, never thought about what was behind it. At the end of the hall, an unmarked metal door waits. No window, no nameplate. Just an old, oxidized handle and a padlock that's more rust than metal. Ortiz's keys rattle as he finds the right one. For a second, they all just stand there. The air feels thicker near the door, as if what's behind it is pushing outwards, testing the seams. Ready? Ortiz asks. No one is. He turns the key anyway. The lock snaps open with a sound like a throat clearing. The door groans on its hinges, a long, complaining creak that rolls down the hallway. A wave of stale air pours out, damp, metallic, tinged with mold and something older, sweeter, sourer that no one wants to name. Flashlights click on. Beams cut into the dark. The room is larger than the Polaroid suggests. Concrete walls, low ceiling, no windows. Old pipes snake overhead, wrapped in peeling insulation. Water stains bloom on the walls like diseased flowers. In the center of the room is a square patch of cleaner concrete. No dust, no debris, just a faint outline, 4 legs, exactly chair-sized. Near it, 4 metal bolt holes in the floor. Empty, but the circular abrasions around them are deep, like something heavy was anchored there and fought against often, like metal grinding against metal. The techs fan out, boots crunching on plaster and paint chips. Cameras flash. evidence markers appear, little yellow tents on a battlefield that's been abandoned for years. On the far wall, just above eye level, the paint color changes abruptly, a perfect rectangle of slightly newer, whiter paint about the size of a bulletin board or a cluster of photographs. Something hung there, one of the text notes. Or lots of somethings, Vega murmurs. He steps into the center of the room, into the clean square, into the ghost of the chair, and looks around with the Polaroid burned into his brain. The angle matches. The perspective lines up. Place the camera here. Aim this way. The pipe, the corner, the stain. It fits. This is it, Ortiz whispers, hugging his clipboard to his chest like a shield. This is the room from the TV, from the picture. I swear it. Why didn't you say anything sooner? Vega asks, not accusing, just tired. Ortiz swallows. Because I didn't want it to be real, he says. I thought maybe it was a set, a movie, someone playing games, but when that reporter said sublevel and south wing, he shakes his head. I knew I'd been walking over a grave for 10 years. They don't find a grave. No bones, no clothing, no obvious bloodstains. The flood that shut this place down did its damage well. Water washed through, taking evidence with it, leaving only stains and rot. But not everything is erased. Near the drain in the center of the floor, under a crust of grime, one tech spots a discoloration, a darker halo embedded into the porous concrete. It reacts faintly when he swabs it, the test turning just a shade more persuasive than negative. Old, too degraded to read clearly, but suggestive. Human blood, maybe. Once, long ago. In the corner, behind a toppled shelving unit, they find a fragment of chain. 6 links long, one end jagged, broken. The metal is corroded, but not completely. When they bag it, the sound it makes dropping into plastic is tiny, but it hits Vega's ears like an explosion. The room becomes a crime scene. The building becomes a maze of yellow tape and whispered rumors. Staff cluster in stairwells, eyes wide, voices low. Under our feet the whole time? Right there? Did they find anybody? No, but the sentence never finishes. The department holds a press conference. They have to. The story is too big now. The words possible connection and ongoing analysis and too early to speculate are said over and over until they lose their edges. The public hears what they want to hear. They found the room. Reporters swarm. They want details, photographs. They want to see the chain, the bolt holes, the stains. The department gives them almost nothing. A single still, a wide shot of a dim concrete space, yellow evidence markers like small, false comfort. Rosa sees it on the evening news. The room fills her screen. For a second, she forgets to breathe. She reaches for the TV, hand hovering over her daughter's ghost. Her mind fills in what the camera can't show. A chair, a blonde girl, a brunette, a nurse, a student, her daughter. She turns off the TV. The silence roars. The room gives Vega leverage, not proof, not closure, but leverage, enough to reopen files, to demand new tests. The fragment of chain goes to the lab. The concrete swab goes to the lab. Dust from the bolt holes goes to the lab. Everything goes to the lab. Science is sharper now, teeth finer, microscopes meaner. The results come back like a shrug, too old, too contaminated. The floodwater, the mold, the passage of a decade. They ate the story. There are traces of human material, yes, organic residue, but no usable DNA, no clear profiles, just smears of maybes. The chain is worse. Rust and time have erased almost everything. There are micro traces of skin cells pressed into the tiny scratches along the metal, but they're broken into meaningless fragments. Nothing that can be matched against any database. It's a room, the experts say, a bad room, a suspicious room, a room that has likely seen things no one should see, but in court, suspicion is nothing. Juries don't convict concrete. The DA's office listens to Vega's theory, listens to the pattern, the photographs, the timeline, the anonymous calls, the almost victim from 1992, the man in the dark jacket on security tapes, the abandoned wing, the chain. You're telling me a great story, detective, the assistant district attorney says, fingers steepled, expression neutral. But I can't indict a story. I need a name. I need a face. I need a fingerprint. I need something I can put in front of 12 people and say, this man did this, here to her. Until then, all this room proves is that bad things probably happen there. Bad things probably happen there is our job description, Vega snaps. Then he exhales, rubs his forehead, reins it back in. We're closer than we've ever been. Closer to what? The ADA asks quietly. To knowing, or to knowing you'll never be able to prove it? The words stick, not because they're cruel, because they may be right. Outside the courthouse, the public digests the latest developments the way it always does. Half attention, half amnesia. There's a new scandal this week, a new tragedy. The room hits the front page once, twice, then slides back, replaced by fresher horrors. Online, though, the discovery detonates. The forums light up, maps are drawn, floor plans are guessed. Someone finds an old blueprint of St. Augustine Medical and overlays it on a satellite image, marking the room in red. Others start wondering how many other hospitals have sealed wings, closed sublevels, forgotten rooms built out of budget cuts and neglect. The story mutates from one predator to a bigger fear. All the places no one checks. For Rosa, the room is not a theory, it's a dimension, a place in the world her daughter might have seen last. She drives to St. Augustine once, parks in the visitor lot, sits behind the wheel with her hands locked at 10 and 2, eyes fixed on the fourth floor windows, on the blank sealed strip of concrete that hides the sublevel from view. She does not get out of the car. She doesn't need to be closer. Knowing it exists is already too close. For Vega, the room is a wound. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees the clean square on the floor where the chair used to be, the rectangle on the wall where something used to hang, the empty bolt holes, waiting. The space between what they know and what they can prove stretches out in front of him like a corridor with no doors. He goes back to the old tapes, the man in the dark jacket, the tilt of the head. He runs the enhanced images through new software, better algorithms, wider databases. He gets hits, always the wrong kind. Similar but not the same. Possible match, 60% confidence. Insufficient detail. Shadows of men who committed other crimes in other places. Never the one who stood in those halls and watched the girls who walked by. Years continue to slide past the edges of the file. The city changes shape again. New towers rise. Old buildings fall. St. Augustine Medical eventually sells its land. The hospital moves to a newer, brighter campus across town, all glass and gleaming steel and open atriums, a space it can market as transparent. The old structure is left to rot behind a chain-link fence and a sign that says no trespassing, future development site. Developers circle. Plans are drawn. Condos, mixed-use retail, luxury something. Demolition dates are floated. Permits filed. Environmental impact statements written. Buried in one of those statements, a sentence. Sub-level structures will be removed entirely. When Vega sees that line, a cold trickle runs down his spine. The room will be erased. The bolt holes, the stains, the air itself, all gone, ground up, trucked away, poured under something new. Whatever ghosts live down there will have to find somewhere else to haunt. He files one last request, a delay, a final forensic sweep of the sublevel before demolition. It's granted, more out of bureaucratic caution than belief. Technicians in newer suits with newer equipment go down into that concrete throat one last time. They scrape, they scan, they laser map every inch, capturing the space in digital form, even if the physical room will be lost. They still don't find her. They still don't find anyone. The demolition goes ahead. One morning, cranes rise over the old hospital, metal jaws biting into walls, clouds of dust rolling down the block. The room shudders, cracks, collapses. Steel and concrete mix with fragments of old lives, old fears, old secrets. Trucks carry them off to landfills and recycling plants. The ground is cleared. A new sign goes up with a glossy rendering of future glass and balconies. For the city, it's progress. For the file, it's another door closed. But stories aren't buildings. They don't demolish so easily. The Miami 2001 case is now tied to a room that no longer exists in a hospital that's gone, overseen by people who've retired or moved away. It should start to fade, to be replaced by fresher obsessions, newer monsters. Instead, something else happens. Technology keeps evolving. DNA kits grow sharper, faster. Databases grow bigger, hungrier. Cold case units in cities across the country start pulling old evidence off shelves, running dusty samples through modern machines, and suddenly, overnight after decades, names appear. Faces, matches. People who thought they'd outrun the past get knocks on their doors at dawn. In Miami, whispers start in the corridors again. Maybe one day those broken traces from the room, the smear in the concrete, the skin and the scratches of the chain, might finally talk. Maybe, buried in those fragmented molecules, is the faint outline of a man with his hands in his pockets and his head tilted in that particular disinterested way. Maybe. The word hangs over the cruise file, heavy and glittering, as another anniversary approaches. Another year without a body. Another year without an arrest. Another year with a room that exists now only in photographs and nightmares. And somewhere in a different city, under a different set of fluorescent lights, a man no one recognizes stands near a bank of elevators, hands in his pockets, watching people walk past. The city forgets in layers, new towers, new crimes, new storms, new scandals. But certain names hang in the air like humidity that never quite lifts. Elena Cruz is one of those names. You don't hear it every day anymore. It's not on the front page, not on the 6 o'clock, but it lives in the background, in the way mothers grip their daughters' shoulders a little tighter in hospital parking lots, in the way older cops flinch when they see an abandoned car on a dark stretch of road. Years pass. A file gathers dust and fingerprints. People age. The case does too, but it doesn't soften. It just hardens into something else. Resentment, obsession. A question so old it starts to feel like part of the city's architecture. Somewhere in a new, glass-walled precinct, a younger detective bends over the cold case shelf. Her name is Anna Morales, 32, second-generation cop. She grew up hearing about the Miami Room case the way other kids heard fairy tales, except there were no princes, just missing girls, a concrete room, and a man who never got a name. The cold case unit is her punishment, according to some. Her reward, according to others. She talks back, she pushes, she doesn't smile when she's supposed to. The brass call it attitude, her few allies call it backbone. Either way, she's here now, in the basement of the new building, fluorescent lights buzzing, surrounded by dead paper and unsolved lives. She pulls a box at random. That's the plan for the week. One a day. Read, review, see if new tech or fresh eyes can crack old bones. Her hand lands on a case number she recognizes before she sees the name. 010422 EC. The cardboard is slightly warped from years of being opened, closed, reopened. The edges are softened by other hands. She lifts the lid, and the ghosts rise. Photographs first, they always float to the top. Elena's face, the overpass, the Honda, the lone sneaker circled in red ink on an old contact sheet. The Polaroid of the chair and the chain, its white border yellowed, the words first warning, 041501 still stark in black. Beneath it, photocopies of two other Polaroids. The stairwell, second chance, 080995. The steel door, final room, 111298. Someone has handwritten above them. Possible series? There are transcripts of anonymous calls, incident reports, grainy stills printed from security footage, men in jackets, blurred faces, circled heads with the word unsub scrawled underneath. There's a memo about the St. Augustine sublevel search stapled to photos of the concrete room before demolition, evidence logs for a fragment of chain, a concrete sample, dust swabs, lab reports that read like apologies. Degraded, insufficient, inconclusive. At the bottom is a DVD in a paper sleeve, handwritten label, Cruise, Park Tape, 1998 lobby footage, select frames. Morales slots it into an old tower, waits for it to whir to life. The monitor blooms with static, then settles into a grainy hospital lobby, all restless bodies and bad lighting. She sits forward, eyes narrowed, waiting, watching. There he is, background, leaning by the elevators, hands in pockets. Head tilted just slightly like he's listening to someone only he can hear. The freeze frame is worse than motion. In motion, he could be anyone. Paused, he looks like exactly what he is. A question no one has been able to answer. Morales watches the sequence 3 times. Then again, she scribbles notes she knows other people already scribbled years ago. Height estimate, build, clothing, timestamp, possible scar by left temple, or just a smudge. She knows this drill. She also knows something else. Software is better now. Cameras are better now. Technology sees things now it couldn't see then. She pulls more, a printed email chain between an older detective and a reporter named Sullivan, trading barbs and hints, a request to delay demolition, a signed approval, a final, bitter note in red pen, room demolished, no further evidence. She closes the lid and leans back in her chair. The buzz of the overhead lights fills the silence. She was 8 when Elena disappeared. Her mother wouldn't let her ride her bike alone after dark for months. At school, older kids whispered about the hospital guy, the one who took girls who walked alone. Teachers told them to stop. Parents told them to shut up. The fear soaked in anyway. Now the ghost is on paper in front of her, not just a whispered story, a column of facts, fragments, failures. She feels something sharp twist in her chest, anger, curiosity, both. On the wall behind her desk, the cold case board is mostly empty. She hasn't claimed a case as hers yet. That's what the lieutenant said. Pick one. Own it. He made it sound like choosing a plant from a nursery. She reaches for a marker, writes 4 words across the top of a clean section of whiteboard. Miami 2001 cold case. Then, beneath it, without quite knowing why, she writes in smaller letters, The Room. Upstairs in a different part of the city, Mark Sullivan is listening to a younger producer tell him he's outdated. Not his words. The industry's. People don't want 5-minute packages anymore, the producer insists, tapping a chart on a tablet. They want long-form, streaming, podcasts, deep dives. You want the cruise case back in the bloodstream? We don't do another 2-minute anniversary piece. We do 8 episodes, 10, 11. We slow it down and make them live in it. Sullivan resists at first. He's tired. He's done his time chasing that ghost. But the word love hooks him. He's been living in this story for years, whether he admits it or not. Maybe this is the last lap. One more run around the track. He agrees. The pitch is simple, brutal, irresistible. Miami 2001, cold case solved, a city, a room, and the man who got away. They add a question mark at the end for now. Market wants hope. Market wants endings. He's not sure he can give them one, but he can give them the question. The series starts to take shape. Interviews, archives, reenactments. A shadow actor in a dark jacket standing by elevators, head tilted. Shots of empty parking garages at 3 a.m., air thick, lights humming. Drone footage over the spot where the old hospital used to stand, now just a rectangle of packed earth with a sign advertising luxury condos coming soon. Morales hears about the project in the worst possible way. A flyer on a grainy photocopied page that someone leaves on the break room table downstairs. Looking for people connected to the crews on room case. Contact Sullivan Productions. There's a number, an email, a promise. Help us finally get answers. She crumples it once, straightens it back out, pockets it. She doesn't call, not yet. But she circles the name in her notebook, Sullivan. Instead, she goes to Vega. He's not in homicide anymore. Officially, he's a consultant now, retired but available. Unofficially, he spends some mornings at his kitchen table with old case folders he tells his wife he's sorting to get rid of. The cruise file is not one of those. That one lives in his head. When Morales knocks on his door, he knows why she's there before she says a word. It's in her eyes. That mix of stubborn and hungry he recognizes from his own reflection 20 years ago. You picked the wrong one, he tells her, motioning her inside. I picked the only one that keeps talking even when the file's supposed to be closed, she shoots back. He likes her immediately. He hates that he does. They sit. She lays out what she has, which is nothing new, and what she is, which is new. Eyes that didn't watch the case twist and stall in real time. Eyes that don't carry the same fatigue. Why this one, he asks. Because I was 8 and my mother started meeting me at the school door, she says. Because every time I walk into a hospital stairwell alone, I hear my own footsteps too loud. Because this guy built a room in my city and walked away from it like it was nothing. He studies her for a long beat, then he gets up, goes to a cabinet, pulls out a small locked metal box. Inside are photocopies of things he was supposed to leave behind when he retired. He didn't. Old detectives rarely do. He spreads them across the table. The 1992 call transcript, the notes on the vanished woman from apartment 3B, the letter he wrote but never sent to other departments about unsolved Polaroid incidents. A list of names of missing women from other cities he always thought might be part of the same story but could never prove. This isn't a case, he says quietly. It's a net. You pull on one knot, 3 more tighten. Okay, Morales replies. Then we cut somewhere else. She has one advantage Vega never did. Time and technology aligned. Cold case work funded by grant money that cares about DNA hits more than fresh headlines. Databases that cross state lines at the click of a mouse. Genetic genealogy firms that turn spit tubes into family trees. She submits a request to retest the old samples connected to the room. The chain fragment. The concrete scrap. Dust from the bolt holes. Protocol says don't bother. Past results say too degraded. She files the paperwork anyway, with a note. Requesting advanced next-gen testing. Possibility of partial profiles for investigative genetic genealogy. In a lab across town, machines whir. Tiny amounts of old matter are coaxed, amplified, teased apart. It takes weeks, then months. It's not a priority file. There are newer murders, newer victims. While she waits, life goes on. Other cases cross Morales' desk. Domestic homicides. Bar fights turned lethal. Drug deals gone sideways. She works them, solves some, loses some, feels the clock pushing at her back every day. But at night, she comes home, opens her laptop, and falls down the cruise rabbit hole. She watches old broadcasts of Sullivan's early pieces, then the new ones, as the streaming series begins production. She scrolls forums where people who were children in 2001 trade stories about how the case changed their parents, their neighborhoods, their own bodies moving through the dark. She reads theories, most ridiculous, some unnervingly close to her own notes. They should profile hospital staff from that time, one user writes. Maintenance guys, security, orderlies, people who can move everywhere without being noticed. Look for someone who transfers every 3 years, another suggests. Following the pattern, new city, new hospital, new room. The internet is good at ideas, bad at proof. Morales files a quiet internal request. Employment logs from every major hospital in Miami between 1990 and 2005. She cross-references them with transfers from out-of-state facilities. The spreadsheet grows, the names blur, but a few stand out, one in particular. A facilities technician, hired in Tampa in 1992, 3-year stint, transferred to a hospital in Jacksonville in 1995, another 3 years, transferred again to Coral Gables in 1998, then to Miami in 2001, always in maintenance, always with access to basements, sublevels, storage, locked doors no one else thinks about. His file is thin, no disciplinary actions, no commendations, perfectly average. His name, Miguel Santos. Born in a small town in Georgia, no criminal record, no obvious red flags, married once, divorced quietly, no kids listed. At first glance, a ghost made of routine. But when Morales pulls a copy of his ID badge photo from 1998, her breath catches. The angle is different, the lighting is harsh, the resolution lousy, but the set of the mouth, the slope of the nose, the eyes that don't quite smile, they rhyme with the blurred face by the elevator in that 1998 tape. Not a match, not proof, but enough to make her underline his name 3 times in red. She finds one more thing. In 2002, not long after the flood at St. Augustine Medical, Santos left Miami, resigned, moved on. Employment trail picks up briefly at a small clinic in another state, then disappears. No forwarding address, no current listed employer, just gone. She takes the file to Vega. He stares at the badge photo, then at the still from the lobby, then back at the photo. It could be him, he says. It's the closest he will ever come to saying, I think this is him, without handcuffs on the table. Or it could be confirmation bias, Morales replies. She has to be the skeptic now. Someone has to. Sometimes bias is just your brain recognizing a pattern before your mouth can justify it, he mutters. Before they can chase Santos, before they can run his name through every system and start knocking on doors in every town he might have vanished into, the lab calls. Not a full profile, the technician says. Not even close. But from the chain fragment, from the microscopic flakes of skin ground into old rust, they got something, a partial, enough markers to be useful for one thing, genealogy, not in court, not on paper, but as a compass. A private lab out west takes over. They upload the fractured code into a database of voluntary DNA donors, people who spat in tubes to learn their ancestry, and now, whether they know it or not, are helping cops chase ghosts. Family trees unfold on a screen. Branches, twigs, names, some close, some distant. A cluster around Georgia, another in Alabama. A surname that overlaps with Santos, not directly but through a maternal line, one branch over, a cousin who donated, an uncle who didn't, a second cousin twice removed. They build it backward and sideways. The partial profile from the chain belongs most likely to a male born between late 60s and early 70s with family connections in the exact region where one Miguel Santos comes from. It's not proof, it's pressure, it's heat under a name that has been cold for years. Morales prints the tree, pins it under the badge photo, under the elevator still, under the room. The board starts to look like something again, not a net, a noose. The title of Sullivan's streaming series sits in her inbox, an email she hasn't answered. Miami 2001 cold case solved? The question mark mocks her. The public is ready for an ending. The city is hungry. The network wants a finale with cuffs and perp walks and a mugshot they can splash across thumbnails. But out here, in the quiet hum of the cold case room, there is no ending yet. Just a name, a partial DNA map, a man who fits the right years in the right places, in the right shadows, somewhere out there breathing air he doesn't deserve, walking hallways that look, under certain lights, a lot like every hospital corridor in every city he's ever passed through. And if you listen closely, under the buzz of the lights and the shuffle of papers and the low murmur of detectives who have seen too much, you can hear it. The case, not dying, but waking up. The email lands in Morales' inbox at 2:17 a.m., time-stamped in the blue light of a city that never properly sleeps. She shouldn't be awake to see it. She is. The subject line is dry, clinical, nothing like the jolt it carries. Chain fragment, genealogy report, preliminary. In the glow of her laptop, she opens the attachment. Charts, branching diagrams, names nested in boxes, connected by thin gray lines like veins. A highlighted note in the middle of the mess. Most probable source, male, B, 1968 to 1974, southeastern U.S., region cluster, rural Georgia, North Florida. She slides her gaze sideways to the printout already pinned on her wall. Employment history, facilities technician, hired in Tampa, 1992, Jacksonville, 1995, Coral Gables, 1998, Miami, 2001, Santos Miguel A., born 1970, A. Birthplace, Cairo, Georgia. The lines overlap. Different documents, same rough circle. A note from the analyst sits at the bottom of the page, cautious, guarded, still sharp enough to cut. Cannot be used as direct forensic match. However, in combination with traditional investigative work, this tree can be considered a strong lead toward an individual of interest. Individual of interest. The new way to say, this might be your monster, without saying it too loud. She prints the report, the hum of the old office machine sounding too loud in the otherwise sleeping building. The hallway outside is a strip of dim light and linoleum. Somewhere above, the cleaning crew pushes a cart, wheels squeaking, a distant rattle that sounds at this hour like chains. She drives to Vega's place before dawn. The sky is still black, the air thick and oddly still. He answers the door in a t-shirt and sweatpants, hair mussed, the lines around his mouth deeper in the soft light from the porch. His eyes take in the file in her hands and wake all the way up. This better not be another theory, he says, but there's no real bite in it. It's not, she replies, stepping inside. It's a direction. At his kitchen table, she spreads out the family tree, the badge photo, the grainy still from 1998. Branches, faces, the partial DNA profile balanced against a name they can finally say out loud without feeling like they're cursing themselves. Santos, Vega murmurs, tapping the paper. Maintenance, 4 cities, 4 hospitals, all in the right years, no criminal record, no obvious issues, which, of course, is exactly what you'd put in a file if you wanted to disappear clean. Genealogy lab says we got distant relatives who match the fragments from the chain, Morales adds. Cousin on the maternal side, uncle by marriage, all rooted in the same little cluster of towns he comes from. It's not a smoking gun, but it's smoke in the right house. He sits back, fingers steepled, the old habit of staring through the pages and into the spaces between. We can't arrest Smoke, he says, but we can knock on the door. They start officially, always officially. Requests to HR departments for personnel files that haven't been opened in a decade. Letters to out-of-state clinics where he briefly worked after leaving Miami. Queries to DMV databases, voter rolls, tax offices. The systems respond slowly, creaking under their own weight, but they respond. A pattern emerges. Hires and departures, new addresses, rental agreements. A post office box in a town that barely makes it onto maps. A forwarding order that expires just before a local missing person report is filed. Nothing blatant, nothing tidy, just enough overlap to make your skin crawl. Then they find the gap. After 2004, after the small clinic job in another state, there's a fall-off. No payroll stubs, no tax returns, no new licenses, no utilities in his name. According to the official record, Miguel Santos stops existing somewhere around his 34th year, a working man who simply melts into the cracks. People don't vanish like that unless they're dead or hiding. Morales doesn't feel like putting him in the ground yet. They trace sideways, not at him, around him. To the living relatives, the genealogy chart glows around. A second cousin in Alabama who did a DNA test for fun and now finds 2 detectives at his door. An aunt in Georgia who remembers a quiet boy with sharp eyes and a habit of walking the house at night. He was always messing with things, the aunt says, sitting on a sagging couch in a house that smells like fryer oil and old prayers. Wires, pipes, broken toys, took everything apart, put most of it back together. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. Ever trouble with women? Morales asks gently. The aunt snorts softly. He never brought any home, she says. But there was that thing, back when he was, 22? A girl from the next town over accused him of following her, said he parked outside her job, left pictures on her windshield. She waves a hand, dismissive and uneasy at once. Cops came, asked questions, didn't do much. Her daddy made noise, but nothing stuck. Family said it was a misunderstanding. My sister, she said, Miguel's shy, not a creep. We wanted to believe her. What kind of pictures? Vega asks, throat suddenly dry. Rooms, the aunt says. Empty rooms. My sister said, it's weird, but not illegal. The girl moved away not long after. I don't think she ever forgot it, though. Morales feels her pulse jump. The room they've been chasing swells behind her eyes. Concrete floor, chain, chair, warnings. Do you have any way to reach your sister now? She asks. The aunt shakes her head. She passed 5 years back, she says. Stroke. Fast. And Miguel? Another shrug, smaller. Didn't come to the funeral, the aunt says. Hadn't heard from him for years. We figured he wanted a new life somewhere. Some people are just like that. Or some people don't like funerals when they're the one who should be in the box, Morales thinks. They leave Georgia with more questions than answers and one more story about photographs that never made it into any official file. On the drive back from the airport, Morales glances at the billboards sliding past the highway. One of them glows with the face of Mark Sullivan, name in big letters, tagline underneath. The room inside Miami's coldest case. Streaming this fall. She grimaces. They're still months out from the release. The hype is already building. Every week, another teaser clip leaks into the algorithm. Rosa's voice, shredded by time. Vega's profile in half-light. An actor slipping into an elevator in a dark jacket, hands in his pockets. They're on a clock, whether they like it or not. One afternoon, while Morales is cross-checking Santos's last known addresses against unsolved disappearances within a 50-mile radius, the tip line upstairs crashes under the weight of a minor media storm. Sullivan has dropped a new promo. This one includes, for the first time, the cleaned-up frame of the 1998 lobby man. They've blurred the face slightly, at the department's insistence, but the posture is there, the silhouette distinct. The caption underneath is bait and promise in one line. Did this man take Elena Cruz? The phones start ringing. People see themselves, their brothers, ex-boyfriends, bosses, neighbors. The familiar dance of misidentifications begins. The unit upstairs filters, discards, triages. Most of it is noise. One call gets transferred downstairs. An out-of-state number, North Carolina area code. A woman's voice, steady, older. "I saw the thing on my nephew's computer," she says when Morales picks up. "The man by the elevator. I know him." Morales feels her muscles tighten. "Tell me." "He worked at our hospital here in town years back," the woman continues. "Maintenance, quiet, didn't talk much. We had a disappearance around that time. A volunteer candy striper, 17. Nobody ever found her. When I saw that man on the screen, I almost dropped my coffee. We knew him as Michael Sands, but my gut tells me that's not all he was. Michael Sands, not Santos, but close enough to make your teeth itch." "Do you have any record of him?" Morales asks. "Hire date, job title, anything?" "Human resources might," the woman replies. "But I know where his picture is for sure. The retirement board. We kept old ID photos in a binder in the staff lounge. I can send you a copy." She does. Within an hour, a grainy scan lands in Morales' inbox. A man in front of a neutral background wearing a generic polo with the hospital logo. He's a decade younger than the composite in her head, the edges of his face less carved by time, but the bones are the same. Miguel Santos, badged as Michael Sands. She prints it and walks it straight into Vega's hands. He stares at it for a long time without speaking. "That's him," he says finally. "I can't prove it, but that's him." "The name change could be legal," Morales points out. "Could be nothing, but the timing lines up with when he disappears from the Florida records. If he went north, switched the name, kept working the same trade, kept building the same rooms," Vega finishes. They reach out to the North Carolina hospital officially this time, not through back channels and scared nurses. Personnel sends records, hire date, duties, schedule, and a resignation letter written in neat block letters, typed, not signed, placed in his file in 2006. "Pursuing other opportunities closer to family," it says. No forwarding address. 4 months after that resignation date, a young woman vanishes from a strip mall 3 towns over. Car left in the lot, purse on the seat, keys missing, no signs of struggle. Her case file, when requested, contains a single Polaroid found wedged under the driver's seat weeks later. A bare mattress in the middle of a concrete room, in black marker, first warning, 040306. The thread tightens. Different state, same ink, same laugh in the dark. The DA's office feels the pressure now, not from the victims' families this time, but from above. Elected officials sense an opportunity. Look tough on old crime, the polling memos say. Show results on cold cases. The streaming series is coming. The cameras will be rolling. The city doesn't want to look clueless. "Find him," the DA tells Morales and Vega in a closed-door meeting where the air feels thinner than usual. "I don't care how old he is now or what name he's using. Find Miguel, find Michael, whatever he calls himself. Give me something I can stand in front of a podium and say without crossing my fingers." "We don't have enough to charge him," Morales warns. "We barely have enough to get a warrant. Name changes aren't crimes. Working in 4 cities isn't a crime. Liking concrete isn't a crime." "Liking concrete rooms with bolt holes and chains is," the DA fires back. "We just need to prove he liked them more than once." They push, harder. Santos's name, in all its versions, goes into more systems. Old landlord records, employment verification firms, credit bureaus. For weeks, nothing. Then a small hit in a place no one expects. A storage unit, rented under the name Mike Sanders, in a town in South Carolina that smells, according to the patrolman who first checks it out, like fertilizer and lake water. The unit is paid in cash, quarterly, always on time, for over a decade. Then 2 years ago, the payments stopped. The facility sent letters, got no response. The account hovered in limbo, and technically abandoned, but not yet auctioned off. Locked from the outside, the local deputy tells Morales over the phone. Combination padlock. Looks like nobody's been in or out since. Dust on the latch. We can hold it sealed until you get here if you want first look. She wants. She flies. Vega comes with her, the weight of 24 years of failure in his carry-on. A local camera crew tries to follow. They get waved back by badges and tape. The storage facility office smells like old paper and stale coffee. The manager is eager, sweating, the way people get when they sense they're standing near something bigger than their regular day. "This way," he says, leading them down a row of corrugated metal doors. The numbers blur. They stop at 117. Dull gray. The padlock hangs heavy, flecked with rust. "Last payment was, let's see, May 2 years ago," the manager says, checking a clipboard. "Guy was quiet. Drove an old van. Never said much. Signed in as Sanders, Mike's. Could have been anybody." The bolt cutters bite. The lock falls. The door rolls up with a metallic rattle that feels, in this moment, obscene. Another room opening. Another dark mouth saying, "Come see." Flashlights sweep the space. No chair in the middle. No chain on the floor. Just boxes. Neat. Labeled in thick black marker. Tools. Books. Personal. One plastic bin with no label at all. They work methodically. Gloves on. Evidence bags ready. The tools box is exactly that. Wrenches, pliers, coils of wire, a heavy-duty staple gun, rolls of duct tape that make everyone in the unit glance at each other without speaking. The books box is manuals, HVACs, plumbing, electrical diagrams. The unlabeled bin is where the air tightens. Morales pops the lid. Inside, stacked with unnerving care, are Polaroids. Dozens. Rubber-banded bundles of square, white-bordered images, the colors slightly faded, the corners curling. Concrete rooms. Bare mattresses, stairwells, doors, chairs, chains. Some scenes repeat, framed from different angles. Others are unfamiliar. New rooms, new arrangements, always empty, always waiting. On each, in black marker, a phrase and a date. First warning, second chance, final room. Years ranging from 1991 to 2008. Cities scribbled in tiny letters on the back of a few. Tampa, Jax, Coral G, Miami, St. Aug, NC. Town names Morales doesn't recognize. She feels something cold wrap around her spine as she leafs through them, each one a silent countdown someone never heard in time. Vega doesn't say anything for a long moment, then, very quietly, "This is his trophy box." On the floor of the unit, under the shelves, someone has taped a laminated map to the concrete, the southeast, dotted with tiny red stickers, some in places they know, some in places they've never looked. It should feel like victory. It feels like walking into the edge of an ocean. Too big, too deep, too late. They pack everything, photos, tools, map. The bin itself, back in Miami, the evidence room swallows it all, assigns numbers, locks it away, the lab starts work again. Fingers deep in old plastic, seeking prints, hair, fibers, anything. Sullivan calls twice that week, leaves voicemails full of urgency he tries to disguise as professional interest. "I'm hearing things," he says. "Storage unit, pictures. You know this changes the narrative, right? We need to talk on the record." Morales ignores the first message, replies to the second with a single line. "When there's something to say that won't poison a jury pool, you'll hear it." He doesn't like that answer. She can tell by the way his next segment leans harder into speculation, hanging off words like exclusive and insider source, without actually saying what he thinks he knows. The city starts buzzing again. The forums explode. Somebody leaks that they've found a stash of Polaroids in another state, and suddenly the room man isn't just Miami's monster anymore. He's regional, maybe national. People in other cities start looking at their own cold cases differently. In the middle of all this motion, in the slow, grinding progress of labs and warrants and interagency calls, a small, unremarkable envelope slides through the mail slot of the cold case unit one rainy afternoon. No return address. Miami postmark, 3 days old. The clerk drops it on Morales' desk with a stack of interoffice memos. She opens it without thinking, eyes still on her screen. The paper inside is stiff, glossy, square, a Polaroid. Her fingers go cold around it. The image shows a room she has never seen. Not St. Augustine, not any of the ones in the bin. Concrete, yes, but cleaner. Fresh paint. A single fluorescent strip light on the ceiling reflected in a shiny, newly poured floor. In the center, a metal chair. No chain yet, no stains, no water damage. Just the chair, perfectly placed, like a stage prop waiting for its actor. On the bottom margin, in the same unmistakable black marker, a message and a date. "You're getting warmer, 09/07/25. A date in the future. 3 days from now. The air in the room thickens. The hum of the lights turns into a roar in her ears. Somewhere down the hall, a phone rings, shrill and distant. Morales stares at the photo, at the smooth floor, at the empty chair, at the handwriting that has hunted her city for more than 2 decades and has just written directly to her desk. The case isn't solved, not even close. Someone out there is still building rooms. The rain starts before sunrise, a steady hiss against the glass that sounds too much like static. The city is gray, blurred, half asleep, and somewhere inside the Miami Police Headquarters, Detective Anna Morales stares at the Polaroid she should have never received. The edges are still damp from her hands. The words still glare up at her, soaked in black ink that feels fresh even though she knows it isn't. "You're getting warmer, 09/07/25. 3 days. It doesn't feel like a countdown, it feels like a promise. She logs the photo into evidence. The technician bags it, gloves on, silent. Vega stands beside her, eyes fixed on the print like it's breathing. The room feels small, oxygen pulled out by the weight of what's inside the plastic sleeve. This isn't nostalgia, Vega mutters. He's not remembering. He's reactivating. Morales nods, jaw tight. He wants us to see it. He wants you to see it, Vega corrects, and the way he says it makes her skin crawl. They triple-check the envelope. Fingerprints, fiber, postage, nothing clean. No prints, no usable DNA, no residue. The postmark is Miami-Dade. The letter was mailed 2 days ago, before the media knew about the storage unit, before the story broke wide again, which means whoever sent it knew the photo would hit her desk before anyone else's. He's watching. She spends that night in her car outside the precinct, radio off, headlights out, just sitting, thinking. Across the street, the city hums its endless electric pulse. Somewhere under a roof or behind a window, the man who has haunted Miami for 24 years might be sipping coffee, watching the same storm she's watching, waiting for her to move. By morning, the department feels like a hive. The FBI's back in, drawn by the new Polaroid. Behavioral analysts flood in, thick with jargon and confidence. He's escalating. He's communicating. He's controlling the narrative. Morales doesn't need their slides or their sterile theories. She's been in the rhythm long enough to know what this is. He's setting the stage again. They map it. The dates, the warnings, the intervals, the 3-day gap before 09/07/25. A Saturday, weekend, crowds, noise, easy camouflage. We have to assume he's local, Vega says, pacing the war room like a caged dog. You don't mail a letter from this county unless you're here. Morales traces circles on the city map. Hospitals, clinics, construction sites, any place with empty spaces and locked doors. The pattern repeats itself through time, the same geometry of fear, isolation, concrete, neglect. The FBI wants to go public immediately, release the new photo, ask for help. Morales fights it. He wants us to broadcast it, she says. That's his oxygen. We go quiet, we move in the dark. Vega backs her barely. The brass grudgingly agrees. That afternoon, Sullivan's network breaks the embargo anyway. A source close to the investigation leaks the image. The chair, the message, the date, 3 days. His voiceover hits the airwaves with the smooth weight of practiced urgency. A chilling new development in the Miami 2001 cold case. Detectives believe the killer may be taunting them again 24 years later. The city tilts into panic. Phones flood. Every hospital tightens security. Every abandoned building becomes a possible scene. The rumor mill churns so fast it breaks the sound barrier. Morales smashes her coffee mug against the trash can. He's feeding him, she snaps. Sullivan's giving him a stage. Vega doesn't answer. He's staring at the whiteboard. At the timeline, 1992, 1995, 1998, 2001, 2006, 2025. The rhythm never stopped. It just went quiet long enough for people to forget the beat. What if he never stopped? Vega murmurs. What if there were rooms we never found between 06 and now? Out of state, off the grid, places that never even made it to missing person status. Then 09/07 isn't a new beginning, Morales says. It's the next verse. They start running patterns through databases, construction permits, facility closures, new builds. The logistics of death require infrastructure. He doesn't just appear. He needs space, access, privacy, and concrete. Always concrete. At 11:42 p.m. on Thursday, Morales' phone buzzes. Unknown number. She almost ignores it, then answers. Silence, then breathing. Not heavy, not rushed, controlled. You opened it, a man's voice says. Smooth, flat, unaccented. The kind of tone that could belong to anyone. Who is this, she asks. You shouldn't get too close to old rooms, he says. Sometimes the walls remember more than you do. Where are you? Where I've always been, he replies. In the quiet places. Click. The trace fails. Burned SIM. Disposable phone. The texts don't even get a full ping. She doesn't tell the press. She barely tells Vega. When she does, his eyes go dark. You record it? Yes. Good, because next time he's going to want to see your reaction. The next morning, a small package arrives at Channel 7, the same station Sullivan works for. No return address. Inside, another Polaroid. Different room, different chair. This one chained already. A smear on the floor that could be rust or something worse. On the bottom edge, final warning. No date, just those 2 words. The newsroom shuts down. Police flood in. Cameras turn on. The city spirals. By Friday night, Morales hasn't slept in 30 hours. She's running on caffeine and pure static. She's convinced the next scene, the one marked 09/07, is already built somewhere. The room exists. It's waiting. She pulls maps, floor plans, blueprints, construction projects still under permit, unfinished basements, uninspected sites. St. Augustine, the old hospitals, storage units, condemned motels, warehouses near the airport, every structure that breathes stale air. Vega finds her at her desk, face lit by the ghost glow of her screen. You think he's local? I think he's close enough to see our lights. What happens on the 7th? He finishes what he started, she says, unless we find the room first. They split the city into quadrants. Teams sweep the empty spaces. Drones fly over construction zones. Cadaver dogs sniff under bridges. Nothing. The city feels hollow. Then, at 2:46 a.m. on Saturday, a call comes from a night shift security guard at an unfinished condo tower in Little River. You better get down here, he says, voice shaking. There's a room down in the sublevel. It ain't on the blueprints. They're there in 12 minutes. The site is a concrete skeleton, rain pooling on half-poured floors. The elevator shaft is a gaping throat. They descend by flashlight. The sublevel smells like wet dust and iron. And there it is. A door at the end of a half-built hallway, unmarked. No lock, just a push bar. The concrete around it still raw, edges uneven, fresh paint smell mixed with mildew. Morales pushes it open. The light hits polished concrete, a metal chair, one chain, no dust, no debris, no Polaroid this time, no message, just presence. For a heartbeat, it's utterly silent. Then Vega exhales. He built it. No, Morales whispers, he's been building it. A camera flashes behind them. Forensics begins their slow dance, measuring, marking, bagging. The room gives them nothing alive, nothing dead. But something in the air feels used. They find a single footprint in the wet paint near the drain. Boot tread, size 11, no brand pattern, just one step, heel to toe, the rest wiped clean. By the time the sun rises, the room is sealed, guarded, cataloged. But it's too late to control the story. The leak hits the networks by noon. Sullivan is on screen again, eyes wide, voice heavy with awe. Authorities have uncovered a new site believed to be connected to the infamous Miami room killer. Morales switches the TV off mid-sentence. He doesn't even know what he's saying, she mutters. Oh, he knows, Vega says. He's reading from the script the killer wrote for him 20 years ago. That night, the city doesn't sleep. Neither does Morales. She sits alone in the evidence room, the new photo in one hand, the old ones spread in front of her like tarot cards. The rooms line up. Time, space, evolution. Each one cleaner than the last, more deliberate, more clinical, like a craftsman perfecting his design. Somewhere in Miami, a man who builds prisons for ghosts is still walking free, still mailing messages, still watching. And in 3 days' time, on 0907, he has promised to show them what comes next.